Hey folks, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Loss of Lieutenants. I'm your host Kevin, and on tonight's show I'm joined by fellow hosts.
Jacob.
And Val.
On tonight's show, we will be talking about the underused and maligned or odd profiles at Infinity and explain why we think you should be taking another look at them. But first, as always, let's recap any recent games and hobbies we've been up to. Val, how have you been going, mate? And what's been happening in the world of Infinity with you lately?
I've been well.
Infinity.
Valvinity. I've been playing a little bit of Infinity here and there and doing a bit of hobby side. I'm getting some work on my tack done. I got Voronin done. I think I shared some photos around.
Yeah, the
Here and
I
there.
saw him. It looks good.
Thank you very much. Very happy with how it came out. I also want to take this chance to shout out all the amazing painters we have on our Discord, on the Discord. There's some really good painters, which I want to get involved with more in our community. So if you haven't checked out the work in progress tabs and such for on the Discord, please do, because there's some great work out there. And another shout out to our honorary host Benedict. He did some, I don't know if it was Bolt Action, but he did some Australians in the non-infinity work in progress section.
Oh yeah,
So
so
that's pretty
just
cool.
to recap, this is on the Lost Lieutenant Discord under
Yes.
under the painting and hobby channel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that
That's
actually
what they call channels.
that gets quite regularly updated by a few people who come on, and yeah, the work they do is quite excellent.
Diomedes is insane. He's incredible. I
Which
don't know
one?
who Diomedes is. I think he goes by the handle of Diomedes
Oh
on
right.
Discord. He's incredible. Yeah, he does some amazing paint jobs. But yeah, so shout out to them. I just wanted to, yeah. So that's from the hobby side. That's what I've been doing, painting up my tack. In terms of games, me and Jacob will get into. Jacob will speak on our game a little bit more. But had a good great game with Jacob. He smashed me with a Riot Girl link. He basically parked 5 Riot Girls in my face and said, "If you deal with this, you win. If you don't, you lose." I couldn't deal with it, so I lost. The from a
Did you
rules
have
yeah,
anything? Sorry, just to quickly button on that.
yeah.
Did you have anything to deal with it, and just dice didn't go your way, or you just didn't like? You literally just didn't have an answer for an MSV1 core linked missile launcher.
No, I did have an answer. I was running the Ratnik Harris. I had a Ratnik, Voronin, and Frontovic AP Spitfire. So
Mm.
I could have gone at the right girl with the Ratnik on 6 dice, but I opted to coordinate using the Ratnik as a spearhead, and then shoot the right girl with a missile, a Panzerfaust, and an AP Spitfire. Now, unfortunately, the Ratnik whiffed all his shots, and he was beaten in the face-to-face. Missile missed, the Panzerfaust missed, and the one Spitfire did hit, but he made his armor save. So
So who were
I
the
still
three in the coordinated order?
Yeah, so it was a tank hunter missile launcher. It was a dynamo with a Panzerfaust, dynamo just
Oh
basic
yeah,
profile.
that's cool.
They're really good. Yeah, and then the front of it broke out of that because I broke the Harris, so the front of it joined in as well. So he
Hmm.
took a shot as well, but unfortunately, yeah, so that didn't quite work out. I probably should just gone with a 6 dice to be honest. I think that would have been the better play, but I wanted to test out the coordinator order business and it didn't work. So yeah, so after that, I only had 2 orders and I kind of had to start getting ready for Jacob's turn, and I just couldn't didn't have enough, so Jacob mowed me down. But
Yeah,
that
well,
was interesting.
you had that second unfortunate thing where you caught the riot girl out of cover.
Oh, yeah,
It was Spitfire v Spitfire, but I just won I think I lost the first one, made the armor save, and
yeah,
then just won the
beat
second
me.
roll off and
Yeah,
killed the Frontovic. And at that point, I think that was all your gunfighters dead.
yeah, they're all ones that could stand up with the Rygos. So yeah, Jacob's absolutely right. So after that coordinator order went wrong, the Ratnik he went to unconscious, whatever, but I got my Frontovic on a roof and plunging fire down onto his right girl to bring the link down to 4-man potentially. And I had 4 dice and 15s. He had 2 dice 16s. So it wasn't a terrible fight for Jacob, but yeah, he was out of cover. He was out of cover and everything, but I lost the fight. So he got me down, and that was all my gunfighters, and that's all she wrote.
Oh,
So
I
yeah,
am on that coordinated order thing. That has been something that has been come up a couple of times in games for me fairly recently, and I haven't taken it because I've gone, sometimes it would just require, command, because it would require a command token to reform the link team. Because it'll usually be in a link. I think the most recent example was like I had it was something similar to what you've done there. Like I might have had one Panzerfaust on something. I think it might have been yes, I had like a Panzerfaust on something, and then I had like a gun that would have been burst 2. So it'd be like a burst 2 and 2 burst 1 guns. And I was like, well, this might take the thing down, but it also might just whiff and I do nothing, and then I've got to spend a command token. I've spent 2 command tokens to like reform the link and try again. So yeah, but it's interesting to see that you tried it, and that was probably better odds than I would have had. So it's just a bit unfortunate.
The thing is, Ratnik is actually burst 3 as part of the coordinator because he's burst 5 with a Spitfire.
Oh, he's burst 5 normally,
So
right?
yeah, that's right. So he's so he's actually burst 3 part of the coordinator order.
Mm.
There's a big chance he's going to reduce how many hits even if he loses a fight, he should reduce maybe, so he should survive, right? That's the idea. And then the other guy should smash. But unfortunately, he missed all 3 shots, like didn't even hit. And he went
What
straight.
was he? What
He
was he
went
needing?
down
13s.
unconscious. So 13s.
13s, yeah. And what did you choose to shoot at, Jacob? The Ratnik?
Well, he was shooting at my missile launcher.
Yeah, but who
Missile
did you shoot back?
I shot at the right. I shot at the Ratnik.
Right. Okay.
And I think that was the point where your Ratnik went unconscious.
That's right. That's right. Looking back on the firefight, though, on 6 dice, the Ratnik had like a 60% chance to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I probably should have stayed at 6 dice.
And what did
dice.
you know? What I guess it's harder to work out what the odds are in a coordinated order, right? It's a lot more.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck to work that out. But I was just banking on the missile to hit because it would have clipped 2 of his other dudes in the link as well.
Oh, really?
The tank hunter was coming.
I think because I had done it to you, I'd spaced my guys out, but you definitely would have splattered the Riot Girl.
Yeah, potentially. I'm not sure, but I thought it was going to hit somebody else. But the tank hunter is the one I was really banking on. I'm like 60% chance he hits, done. I don't have to deal with this bitch anymore. But yeah, it didn't happen.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a worthwhile play of doing play. Just it didn't work out for you, unfortunately. Dice were your
I think
enema.
In hindsight, though, I should have taken the 6 dice fight once, seen how that went. That fell, then I still had the coordinate up my sleeve. But the thing is, if you coordinate first, you break the link, and
Then
you
you
really
gotta
risk the
reform
model.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true.
So that's what I would do in hindsight. I'd have a go, and if that doesn't work, then I'd do coordinate order. Because with 6 dice, he shouldn't be hitting me more than once if I lose. And if he hits me once, even with a missile, I should be able to go dog it at least because I got like effectively 3 wounds with the Ratnik.
Yeah, I think the other thing about doing it the coordinated order way is I mean, not. I'm obviously not looking at the odds very closely, but you're probably more likely to kill the Riot Girl, or at least knock her unconscious with the coordinated order because
I think so.
Because you've got the 3 dice from the thing, which might be contested. But then if the miss launcher hits, that's probably putting at least 2 wounds on her, or hopefully 2 wounds on her. So and then if the Panzerfaust hits, then that's like she's dead. Whereas
She's
if
gone.
you were just to go the 6 dice versus the 2, just the way that the dice go, and she's armor 6 in cover or armor 5 with the AP, you're probably more likely to just maybe put her unconscious or just make her drop 1 wound, in which case Jacob just goes prone or fails, and then
he's okay.
Then it's okay. Whereas that way you're hitting it from angles with explosive, and if you hit, then she's more likely to die.
It's brutal. I think the base Dynamo profile has a Panzerfaust, right? So
Yeah,
I really think there's some play there with the Ratnik leading like the spearhead and just having like these other pieces do the dangerous weapons. So I don't know, it's gonna be interesting. In the future.
But a fully linked Riot Girl is not something to be fucked around with either. It's a tough one.
Exactly. Also, the only other thing I did with Infinity is we hosted Pete's Slow Grow 3. So big shout out to Peter. He organized the whole thing, and then I just came and ran it on the day. And I nearly forgot somebody. So I announced round 1's pairings, and I forgot Scott. I apologize. Dante's father. And he's like, hold on, I signed up. I'm like, yep, that's fine. You're playing me. It's all part of the, it was all part of the plan the whole time. So we had a really good game. And then Gareth showed up round 2 and 3, so I got to drop out. That
Oh,
worked out
good.
really well.
Oh, excellent.
Because
Yeah.
I was really fucking hungover. I was really hungover. So fucking stupid. So yeah, Richie came up from Geelong for Kings of War tournament on Saturday and stayed the night at mine on Saturday night. And then he was meant to attend Sunday to play Infinity, but he just didn't. He came, but he's like, "Do you need me?" I'm like, "No, you can go." So yeah,
Oh,
he
good
was just in no
crack.
state.
Oh,
Yeah,
good
he was in no
stuff.
state. It was really funny. But it was good. We had a painting contest as well. Big shout out to Dan from Geelong coming second in the painting. He did a whole display board with his Haq Islam. I think
Oh
I put
wow,
up
well done.
photos. Yeah, that was really good. He came second. I just want to, yeah, just really mention that.
I mean,
But no, it
yeah,
was a great
just.
time.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I really want to mention that. No, but it was actually a fucking yeah, it was a really good time. Good to see lots of new players. Like yeah, I think one of the people who entered one of our challenges, Lewis, he came down. He did really well. Played some. He looked like he was had some good games. Tristan did really well with his dash out. I think
Oh,
Doug did pretty well.
hang on though. Yeah, he did do well. He
He
did
did
do
do well
well, against all odds.
against a lot of
Against
odds.
having to play an army that you built for him with your
Yeah,
typical hipster swagger. that
yeah, that's right. No, I built them dash out list, which is unbeaten to this day. And you can touch on
uh,
that one.
yeah, sure.
Um, and then no, the last thing I wanted to do is I want to shout out House of War Thursday nights. Let's get that place pumping on Thursday nights. We're getting good crowds. You were there last week, myself and Jacob were all there. Tristan, when Pete gets back from overseas, he'll be coming down. So let's start looking to get like 8, 10 players down there regularly. I've got a demo there this Thursday, so hopefully, yeah, we can pick up some more players and just keep growing the community.
Yeah,
So
good.
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, Jacob, you got any hobby or games you want to chat about?
Yeah, so after our little talk when we were with Ivory about the Bakunin coming out, I wanted to make sure that I tried everything I could in Bakunin before they disappeared. So I grabbed. I obviously had a game with.
I mean, they're not disappearing though. They're
Sorry,
being
before
remade
before
anew,
yeah, before
re-released.
potentially some of the fire teams that I appreciate potentially disappear. So I wanted
The
to,
fully
or
linked core of Riot Girls, which let's be fair,
that.
that needs to just get fucked right off. Anyway,
Go away.
sorry. Carry on.
Uh, yeah. But also the Morlock Taskmaster link.
Mm-hmm.
That's cute.
Um,
There's a cute one. There's
which
a cute
I
linked.
yeah, and as well as like it's just trying out the Moiras as they are at the moment. So I played Josh in highly classified, and I think I lost. It was a really close game. I just couldn't get things around over to the objectives and what have you. But yeah, probably I just wanted to try out the Harris of Kusanagi, the Custodia, and the healer. And in that link, Kusanagi is an absolute menace with BS 14 and
Absolutely.
mimetism -6. But in highly classified, she's kind of pointless because she's just a specialist that can't really do much.
Well, she's a character.
Um,
Doesn't she have D charges as well?
I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
she has
Yeah,
D charges. She might.
she can just do the character classifieds, which there's a couple of them there.
Yeah, but they're like in this particular one I also had Avicina and Fiddler, so I didn't need her to do that.
Sure. Yeah.
Like if you were doing highly classified, I would suggest sort of
Yeah, you're right. She
taking
doesn't have anything. Yeah.
yeah, I would suggest taking Zoe and Pywell and just have like a non-pure moderator call.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, yeah, it was a really good game against CHA. Again, probably one of the very few links that you don't want to go up against, as CHA is something that can see right through your smoke. But he did a good job of sort of getting me in bad ranges or getting his burst come to bear. His what's it called? The Volkalak was just invincible.
Wait,
One thing we
no,
didn't mention
He's playing CHA, wasn't he?
Sorry, Wolver. It was a Wolver. Sorry.
Wolver. Okay. Yeah.
Wolver or
Yep,
more, man.
yep. Josh.
Sorry.
Josh
Yeah.
is correcting you on the chat. He's like,
There
it was
you go.
not.
Perfect. Perfect.
Wait, did he get in that quickly? Oh
Yep.
my god, that
Yep.
was freaking quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good game. A lot of his things, a lot of his things did work. And I really do think, I mean, if we're going to talk about factions, people are sleeping on CHA is in such a good position right now. Mainly because they're one of the few that have a hacker that works in their links, because they've got Isabel McGregor.
She is pretty good.
Well, she's a T2 rifle killer hacker, normal hacker,
Regular
can't remember,
hacker.
but she's also got
regular hacker.
but
Yeah.
she's also she's a hacker character, has D charges.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
That's pretty
she's
sweet.
She's very good in
That's pretty
highly classified. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently Josh is saying Caden did some work in that game as well. Was that the Wolver you were talking about, or is this another?
No, I think he had a Wolver, Caden, and Isabel in a single team.
Nice little Harris.
So Caden,
This is nice Harris.
Caden came around and just did T2 rifle stuff.
Yeah.
I think the idea, and it kind of worked, because if he hadn't done that, I reckon I would have won the game. Is he was in my back. One of the classifieds we drew was Predator, and the other one was Coup de Grace. Oh no, Extreme Prejudice. So with Caden in my back line, I had to stay there and get rid of him. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Because
No,
otherwise he would have. Otherwise, last order, he would have just suicide bombed him into something to do melee, and it would have been over.
It's not. We can't refer to it as suicide bombing. It's a heroic charge.
No, in game.
Yeah, but it's heroic charge.
No, it's suicide bombing in game. That'll do.
Oh, no.
Covered it.
Oh dear.
All
Dear,
right,
Jake,
okay.
That's what they do. That's what they do in Twitch. You just have to classify it with
anything
in-game.
else? Anything else?
No, that's it.
No. Okay. So me, I haven't been up to a hell of a lot in the last month because I've been away at sea, but I have managed to get 2 games in the week that since I've come back
nice.
from the ship, which has been good. I had a game in WA against James Higgins the night before I flew back to Melbourne. So we had it at his house. He hosted me. It's the second time I've been around to his house. He's a great guy, and he's got beer on tap. So we had a couple of drinks, had some burgers.
Actually on tap?
Yeah, he's got a keg in his house, so he just can pour that straight from the keg into 2 nicely chilled glasses, which is great because it's been quite warm over in Perth this last WA.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
That's a setup.
so we sat down and had a game. He lent me his Hack Islam so I could play Rama, and I was versing his NCA. We played Rescue, and it was a fun game. I was very worried about NCA just because they got some amazing guns. What I do want to talk about though is the table that we played on. And this is not me. Like I said it to James when we were having the game before the game and after the game, that the table was not what I would call the greatest table. Once he sort of finished setting up, I was like, "Are you happy with this table?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I think it needs a little bit more scatter." And I didn't. Like I said, I didn't want to be like, "I've come to your house and just got shit on your fucking table."
Was this before or after you sipped the beer that he just poured from the tap at his home?
This was this was during.
Were you just like,
this was as I was drinking his own beer, telling him that his table was shit. Yeah.
Nice beer, mate. But this table's a bit shite.
By the way, your table sucked. No.
That's funny.
Let me just see if I can get this table up here. I know, I'm a jerk. Let me just share this thing here. Is that sharing? There it is. All right. So if you can see this table,
you're calling him out. You're calling him out as well now. This is
no. I'm not calling him out. I'm not calling him out because I said it to him during the game and after the game, and it ended up not being that bad in the end. But this is basically the table from my side, on one side. And if you can imagine that after we first started setting up, this wasn't here. This wasn't here, this wasn't here, and this wasn't here.
Oh, Jesus.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
Also, this you can see straight through. There is like some low walls on the front, but this you can see straight through. And actually, no, I think this was here, but this wasn't here. This wasn't here, and this definitely wasn't here. And I don't think that car was here either. And I was like, we need to add some more stuff. And the other problem with the table that I had was I was on this side. Sorry, we rolled off. He won the LT roll, and he elected to choose sides, and he chose this other side. Now, I didn't take a photo of his side, but you can sort of see that there is a nice building here for a fire base, and then there is. Let me just see if I can change this photo.
Real city stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's another on this one. You can see there's another building here.
Yep.
And behind this building, there's a wall here where you can, and then it's got a walkway. So you can stand the link team up on here, and here. And then that's just a massive building that you can't see anything through anyway. So he chose that side, and I was like, well, shit. Sure, I'll go first. And I looked at this side, and I was like, I am not deploying anything on this side because nothing can move out from this point here without just copying a whole bunch of shots from whatever he places up there. So I ended up placing on this side because it had this building here where I could hide behind. I could cautious move probably through this area here to get like up this side to like start taking fights on this side. But what was interesting is because I deployed pretty much, you can sort of see this is at the end of my first turn, pretty much everything, and these are the civilians here. Everything on my right-hand side, all of my army was pretty much deployed on this side. So what he did is he ended up placing not all of his army, but all of his AROs on this side. And because I was completely empty on this side, he deployed his little Harris team in here, with the intention of moving out. And basically, I'm not going to like go through the whole game, but what was interesting is because I placed everything on here, he then had to deploy here, which at least gave me a chance to move up, use smoke, etc., etc. But the thing that I wanted to bring to people's attention regarding table design is, in my opinion, if you are building a table where regardless of the opponent, the mission, the army you're playing, or the army their opponent's playing, if the person who gets to choose sides chooses the same side every single game, like so, but doesn't matter, if you're at a tournament and it's the same table, if the person who picks sides is always choosing this side, then there's a problem with the table.
Okay, yeah. So there's an imbalance. You're saying there's an obvious imbalance.
There's an obvious imbalance, yeah. Now, and I know some people like to say, well, what it does is it gives players the option between going first and going second. But I say it doesn't give you the option, because if you were going into this game with a list that was sort of designed to go second anyway, then you're not changing your mind on this table. If you were planning on going first, then this table you might maybe go, oh well, maybe I'll choose this side instead. So that is a choice, but it's a choice because the side that you're going first on would be so bad. So one of their locals, Nick, said it quite well, and I'm just gonna quote him verbatim because it was actually very. He's a very Nick, our local Nick. Yeah, Nick, not Nick on the podcast, but other Nick.
Yeah, because he has a PhD.
Okay, it's because he's a doctor, right? So what he said was imperfect asymmetrical balance. Both sides should have advantages over the other, but those advantages don't have to be perfectly balanced. If you look at a table you set up and can't quickly decide which side you want, that's good. If you don't care which side you get, that's bad. So what he's saying there is, if you set up a table and you can't, if you look at a table at a tournament and you can't you can't quickly decipher which of those two sides is better, that is usually, to me, is a good thing. But if you walk up to a table and go, that side's dog shit, like just objectively, that
Keep
side's
me
dog
away
shit,
from it. Yeah, keep me
right?
away from
Then
that.
that to me is bad table design. Or not
That's
bad.
good.
It's not good. It's not good table design. It's lazy
Yeah,
table design.
exactly.
Now, I'm not saying this to like disparage James in any way, because like I said, I added some additional terrain to it, and we had a really good game in the end. It was a really fun game, really close. Like we had a great time. But going into this game, I was very concerned because in the end he didn't. It's not like I was very concerned about like a bolt sniper just shutting me down. That's why I said, can we add some more terrain on this table?
But you've got two big shadow zones to come up behind with that big building and the other building.
The
Because they provide a
problem
big shadow zone, don't they?
the problem is on this side of the table here, you can't deploy anything in the middle because the 12-inch you have to deploy behind one of these buildings here. Then you've got this open
So you lose
area,
a lot.
and you've got this open area, but the building over here, you can see stuff from here all the way across into here.
There.
So there's no, and also on the other side, from this building up here, that's why I put this this bit here, this thing here, to stop somebody from just getting a line all the way into the DZ.
All the way.
So so yeah, anyway, it was a tricky one. But I just wanted to mention that as part of the game.
Nice.
The other thing about the game that was fun was how I bring my notes back up is relating to the challenge that we've that's just finished. He did run an Ulan, which was somebody on the chat might have something to say about the Ulan. But it was pretty fucking scary tag. Having a mimetism -3 marker state tag with a BS15 fireback is terrifying. And thankfully, in our game, I was able to use my own marker states, the Beast Hunter, to move up the table in line of fire of the Ulan. Right, the Ulan, James didn't want to reveal the Ulan to discover my own camo marker, so that allowed me to just keep moving the Beast Hunter closer and closer to the Ulan until I got into template range with the Beast Hunter on his bolts. And I was able to template his bolts and clip the Ulan, which then brought out of camo. The result was nothing happened because everyone either dodged or passed their armor save. But the important thing was the Ulan was out of camo. And I had a Namur that was duoed with a Mukhtar Red Fury, which was a really nice little duo. And I was able to spend all of my orders, get the Namur into CC with the Ulan, and brick it and take 2 wounds off it. Which then basically shut the Ulan out from doing anything until I think it was at turn 3 when James was able to revive or clear the states on the Ulan with his engineer and go on a bit of a rampage and kill a bunch of my stuff. But by then it was too late. I'd already rescued one of the civilians, and he didn't have enough orders to he had enough orders to kill my stuff, but not kill my stuff and rescue civilians. So it did end in a win to me. But the Ulan is a scary ass.
Yeah, man. No doubt.
It's a scary ass tag. The one thing I would say about it though, and then maybe this is where the criticism comes. Why does it have an HMG and a +1 burst fireback? That to me just seems you're double dipping from the same pool there.
That's what we were saying with when we were playing with when we were talking with Ivory, is that it'd be better off having an SMG than that HMG.
Coordinate orders would be pretty cool.
And sorry, Zephyr's on the chat, just saying I'm ripping into my host, as in ripping into James. No, I'm not. I talked to him after the game, and we had a great game, and he was fantastic. I just wanted to nitpick on the table a bit and use it as an excuse to just say out to everyone else out there in radio land to say hey. Before you set up a table, just consider these factors, and this is what I regard as not a good table, as if you have this result.
I also wanted to skew the narrative as well to make it sound like you're shitting on your host, but that's not reality.
Yeah, so I do think it's weird that it's got an HMG and a +1 burst fireback, because there's very few occasions where you're going to want that extra burst. Burst 3 BS15. Or burst 4 BS15, but then the burst 3 is also APDA. To me,
Yeah,
it just
I mean,
sort of.
if you're shooting something that's like, and I don't know the full list of things, but if you're shooting something like Atalanta, you probably want the extra burst to try and ensure you get a good roll over her hopefully bad rolls.
I think the point of
that's the only reason I think you'd want it.
But the thing is, right?
What about ARO?
Is no. The thing is, yeah, because you're always going to want to use the 4-back in ARO. But the thing that I'm going to point out is, sure, the HMG gives you suppressive fire options, but the reason why people are sad on the Ulan is that it is expensive. It's like 86 points for an armor 6 tag. If that HMG was a Spitfire, or if the HMG Hell was even a submachine gun.
That's what I was saying.
You could
last week.
Yes, that was right. You could cut. It was in the last episode, and I was like, and I listened to the episode after you guys recorded it, and I was like, that seems a bit weird to do that. And then I faced the Ulan, and I was like, oh, I see now what you're saying. Yeah, you absolutely don't need that HMG. That HMG is just fat and bloat that makes the Ulan expensive without actually offering anything useful.
I think that Ulan is perfectly fine. I think it's one of those profiles you have to use. No, I genuinely think it's one of those profiles you have to use a couple times to realize, because sitting in camo with a fullback and then be like, hey, motherfucker, you want to move? Go for it. You want to discover me? Go for it. But you're not moving until you discover me and deal with me. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have access to the cutter, then it's the only option. But the cutter is only 9 points more.
Yeah, that was what you were saying. Yeah. And I think, and I mean, you don't get the cutter in NCA, so I can see why you might want it. But it just does seem like a bit of bloat.
If you want to hear more about Pano tags, listen to our episode 89.
Yeah, the last episode.
Views from the Ivory Tower.
That's right. Yeah, so anyways, that's what I wanted to say on that game. And then I had another really fun little game against Tristan. He was running his dash at. He was running Val's dash at list with some tweaks to make it actually semi-decent. And we were playing the sensor field mission, which is one of the missions for ANZAC Cup, and that was our first time playing it, and it was a tricky mission, and we made some mistakes, but it was mostly because first time we'd both been playing it. And it was good because I would say that I probably had the upper hand throughout the whole game as far as like killing models and dominating the field. Of course, you don't get points for doing that. You get points for laying down multi-scanners, and Tristan was able to destroy just enough of them at the end of the game to snatch him the victory. But that was a fun game. I had my Beast Hunter did really well. It was able to super jump on top of a crate and then jump down and stab the Lyra on the first turn. Although I believe that was probably ill-advised. Because I was trying to gut a specialist, because I knew that obviously you need specialists to play sensor field, because you need to be able to place these multi-scanners. And so I was like, I made a beeline for Valera, because Valera was also in a link team, and I just wanted to like break that Harris up and stop it from doing anything. But in hindsight, he had what was quite obviously a Zencha something. I assumed a Zencha hacker, but we're playing Val's list here, so it was a Zencha forward observer on a rooftop that I could have quite easily have just censored with my Rafik and then used the Beast Hunter to super jump up the building and then stab him. But I ended up going for Valera, which was still fine because it got rid of a specialist, but it was really the Zencha that got Tristan the win, because the Zencha was just able to reveal, place a couple of multi-scanners, and then go back into camo state. And
you can't touch it?
Yeah, actually no, to be honest, no, he didn't put it back in the camo state, and I was able to brick it, but by then he'd already put down two multi-scanners. And we just made the mistake by not realizing until the end of the game that those multi-scanners are S1, not S0. Otherwise, I would have been able to shoot them. But anyway, that was one of the mistakes we made.
Jacob didn't have that problem because he didn't let me put in.
Yeah, Val, how many of my multi-scanners did you kill?
As many as I kill of your models, so not too many. And I didn't even get to place one. To this day, we don't know how the TAP multi-scanner looks like. So maybe next time, lads. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah,
Jacob.
so that's pretty much it. I am now going to try to do some painting in time for ANZAC Cup. I haven't put any paint on any model in about a year, which is pretty sad. But I am going to try and get the last bits of my Rama painted up for next month, because I would like to play fully painted and not proxied if I can.
Absolutely.
So that's it. That's all I've got That's all I've got.
You and me both.
All right. Anything
On
else?
the topic of ANZAC Cup, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
you're going. I'm 95% going. Jacob.
It's getting up there. It's like 75% going.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, we've got I've got a room of 7 booked in Canberra, and then we've got another 4 or 5 people who don't have rooms booked yet. So there's like 12 or 13 people.
Yeah.
So
I'm
Rob
waiting for
Wright, if you're
Dan and
listening to
Taj.
this, if you're listening to this, you might want to scan some scans for some more tables for us.
Yeah, mate, absolutely.
We will try and bring some. I think there's a couple of people that are driving across, but we'll see how we go. We will get into the events actually in a minute, but we do have some exciting news to talk about. So, actually, while does someone want to hit this off while I load up some photos?
Yeah, sure. So we got. I think we got. I think it was a studio update where they dropped just mostly new products, but we did get the new ITS special event pack, which last season was a new Sargosh. It was 2 little models and a tag. This season, it's the same thing. It's 2 little models and a tag, being Bixi. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. I know it's supposed to be said differently. A alternate Marut, and then it's not even alternate Aya. It's a new Aya. So it is I'm pretty sure it's the breaker rifle Zapper profile, not the rifle emitter profile. Like
you're doing this. You're doing this out of order, but that's fine. I'll let you off with it.
Yeah. Then I'm actually doing it in the order of the video.
Oh, okay. No, that's that. Fair enough. I'll cop that one.
And then we got dropped some of the new Joy toys. So
well, hang on. Before we move on, I think there's some important information in addition to the tournament pack that we should mention. I do want to just quickly touch on this picture that we've been given. I didn't realize that they're going to give us an N4 tape measure. Look at that. Again, look at this thing.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yeah, so there's not much change about the pack. I think you do get a couple more patches, like 1 or 2 more, and you do get a tape measure. But the main thing is you get a new Marut.
Yeah.
Who's I think aiming the gun instead of I think having it to the side or sort of in at ease pose.
I don't like this new pose.
I don't love it.
I'll be with you. It was already a busy model. Now it's a busy, cluttered model.
And that HMG, I mean, I did actually, after looking at this model, I did look at the original one. I was like, oh, that HMG is pretty big, but it just looks
huge.
So big on this picture. Like, what is going on?
Not great.
Not a fan. I'm sorry, not a fan.
Okay, I see what they've done. They've given you 4 extra arms, so they've essentially swapped it around. Right, in the original one, it's held in the bottom pair. Now it's held in the upper pair. Yeah, look. I want it because I love Aleph and I love the Marut, but it has taken a cluttered model and sort of compacted it, so now it just looks it's just too busy. There's a lot of detail that's lost.
Anyway. We need to see Hector's conversion of Agamemnon, the Aleph tag. He's converted one and he's done a really good job with it. I'll try to source a photo for the Discord.
So we got this one, and then we've got the IR. This model's beautiful. This looks great.
Someone did say
amazing model.
It's going to be another great proxy.
I absolutely agree. Why are the IRs the best models there? Every IR is just they hit the nail on the head every single time they release one.
I mean, this is my Mukhtar MSV2 Red Fury right here. This is what I'm proxying.
That's it. But hold on. There's all these complaints about there being like too many of the same model. Anyone complaining about the fact that there's 3 IRs?
Not yet. I mean,
Not
maybe.
yet.
No,
I mean, they're like,
because
yeah.
you have Holomask, so you need them. You could use all three for your Holomask state.
I guess you
True.
could. I guess you could.
Holo Echo, sorry, Holo Echo state.
Hollow Echo. Yeah, I guess you
Yes,
could.
you have one
I
of
would,
each. You have one of
I
each.
would, I would warn against doing it because then you've got to try and remember which freaking profile that you're supposed to be
see.
displaying.
True.
It's
But
beautiful. It's a beautiful model.
yeah,
I'm a
and I
fan.
suppose the one thing we should mention about this, you can't really see it in these photos, but it is unlike the other two. This is a female IR.
Oh yeah,
is it?
yeah. You're right. It's a
You
little
can
bit
kind of see
slender.
in the
You can see
right.
some. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
see some boob. You can see.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah,
some
some
boob,
boob
man.
there,
I saw
right.
some boob.
Sorry, boys. I got to just turn off my camera for a moment. Actually, no. I was gonna. I should make that joke when we get up to Joy Toy. The
Okay.
most sus
Is
name I've ever
is
heard.
what was it?
Hang on,
I
hang
was
on.
going to give a one-handed applause.
Oh god. Okay, so before we move on, let's just quickly touch on the really important information that came out for these two models is that they will be in a new form of plastic resin, not Cyocast, not what they use to make Aristea miniatures with, but some new fandangled stuff from a company. I'm forgetting what they're called. Someone can remind me. Someone can tell me in the chat.
Something.
Uniqlo, from
No, it's something though. But yeah,
Uni,
it's whatever.
Yeah, so
Whatever.
they've said that it will be more durable, stronger than Cyocast, and easier to
Clean up,
easier
hopefully.
to easier to clean, because I think one of the complaints we've had is that it is a bit of a pain in the ass to clean sometimes, especially if the mold lines are a bit nasty. So, I mean, on paper that sounds great, but then Cyocast also sounded like it would be great. And honestly, I've got no real complaints with Cyocast that I've used so far.
None at all.
But this is interesting that they're going down another route. I don't know if this means that Cyocast isn't working out for them and they're trying this other method, or is this just a third or a second manufacturer to help them with? Because I think what they said in the press release is it's there to help them produce this, like, more models. Like this is like another outsourcing that they're going to use to pump out more models.
Another way to avoid outsourcing, I think you mean.
Well, I mean, they are outsourcing.
In-house.
Well, they are outsourcing. They're using another company.
No. The what's the name? They're doing it in-house. They've combined with the company to use their new technology in-house. I think that's what they said, but I might be wrong on that one.
Okay. If anyone in the
I think
chat
they're
can
trying to
correct
keep
that.
more control. Yeah, I think they're trying to keep more control in-house on their products. Therefore, they give themselves diverse ways of manufacturing.
Because I know that when I went to the CB studio, they had the Cyocast machines there, right? But they had like a limited number of them.
Yes.
So they're obviously, their production isn't high on the Cyocast, which is why it's often used on the bigger stuff. My interpretation was that they, in order to keep up with demand, some of the models may have to come out in this plastic because they can't increase their production anymore at CB because they literally run out of space. So they would have to then get somebody else to do it.
Yeah. No, actually, okay.
That's my understanding. I could be wrong though.
Let's see what comes down the line. Hopefully this resin gives it a bit more. The plastic resin gives it a bit more resin quality. So yeah, it's easy to clean, and less sort of bendy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, so then we have what's his next? Then we've got also so Joy Toy. Here we go. So Joy Toy. So this was the first Joy Toy that was announced. It's the USARF with a Ratnik and a Grunt. It's not great.
I think it's a Marauder, isn't it?
I don't know what it is.
Maybe, whatever.
Yeah, you're right, because I think it's got an HRL. But either way,
I think the quality looks good. Like the quality looks good. They're fun. I'm just not into this sort of thing, but
no,
it actually doesn't look that bad. I think the Ratnik looks good. No, I think the dude looks good.
Yeah, I just think it was a weird choice to choose. Of all of the sci-fi cyberpunk stuff you could make in Infinity, they decided to go with the like 40K-esque looking shit.
This might have been a decision that's like a little bit more backwards from what we think. It might be Joy Toy saying, "Hey, we want to make toys out of these models," and CB just giving them the rights to do it.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I get the feeling because Joy Toy is going pretty nuts with making Warhammer stuff, and I would probably say that next to Games Workshop is CB. So why not get on the ground floor with both?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
CB
true.
and
I mean,
Corvus Belly.
it's very that's a big prop you're giving to CB that you just said that they're next to Games Workshop. I mean, I wouldn't say that, but it's good that you
I
think
think they
that.
are.
Do you know of any other like
Yeah.
Privateer
people that?
Press,
I don't know about
like
that.
anything that anyone that makes D&D models. Like
Nah.
what's the next biggest manufacturer outside of GW? I don't think it's CB, but I mean, but they're
Get
known
out
for their
there.
good qualities. But I don't know.
Yeah, I was more talking in popularity. So many times I've
No, I
heard
don't.
stuff about.
I would not say that
Uh,
CB are even in the top 5, but I
ah,
don't know. I could be wrong. I'm in my own little bubble. But so
It's true.
we got these guys, and we also
Mhm.
got this. Now I'm not entirely sure if this was a leak though, because I think apparently it's found on Twitter. It's not really been on the CB website page, but it has made the rounds. So we'll talk about it. This is a much more interesting sculpt. The classic Margot and Duroc. This is way more Infinity. This is like when you think Infinity, like the poster child of not poster
Yep.
child of not poster child of Infinity, but like the fact that
yeah.
the fact that they have this poster essentially up at CB headquarters to me is
Yeah.
I mean,
like this is
Science fiction werewolf, yeah.
yeah
Margot
exactly
and,
yeah
yeah, Margot and I mean, talking to poster child, Margot and Duroc were the poster child for a little bit.
yeah no that's what I said, like they're up at CB headquarters, so yes they certainly are. And they look great. That's way more interesting for Infinity collectors and even non-Infinity
Yeah.
collectors, because they'll just see this like cool fucking big ass werewolf with a huge knife.
Mm.
They probably won't
Yeah,
care
so
too
gotta
much
get one.
about Margot. They'll just be like, Duroc, who's this guy?
I mean, I don't know about the US guy, but I think the Ratnik makes sense as far as an
He was
action
good.
figure goes.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, the
Like
US
he's all
guy was-
robot-y and stuff like that. I mean,
Mm.
I mean, if you're gonna do the US, I'll admit I'm not sure why they didn't just do the Blackjack.
Blackjack.
But
Yeah, absolutely don't get it.
whatever.
Oh, who's
Yeah.
Joy Toy based? Are they based in Japan? Are they what American? What company is it?
No idea.
Might be an
Yeah.
American company.
No idea. And then we
We'll leave that
have
for the chat to suss out.
then we have Rem Racer.
Oh, this is a big shock, isn't it,
Yeah.
Kevin? To you?
Yeah, it is. It was a huge shock. I had no idea this was coming. Yeah, it looks great. Rem Racer. So it's gonna be like a board game. Everything's gonna be everything you need to play the game is gonna be in this one box. It's not going to be Kickstarter. It's going to be straight to retail stores, so you will be able to pick it up normally, which is great. And yeah, it's Rem Racer. I don't really know what else to say about it. You take turns and you
Right.
go around a cool track that you can make, and you have power ups. And I didn't take any screenshots of the characters, but we all know how cute they look. And I know I'm going to be taking
that's pretty cool.
that Ariadne guy that someone says looks like Lister from Red Dwarf. I'm all for that. That's really great.
Very nice.
I really
I'd
like,
be keen to play. Keen to play.
Yeah, really like this, like the way that the corner thing, you
Mhm.
your different gears. I think fourth gear is straight,
Yeah.
second gear is
yeah.
a bit more bendy, third gear is like slightly bendy. So you got to figure out which gear you want to be in, and then you got the power ups and stuff. That looks really cool. And then it's like the little controllers as well. It's fun. So
Perfect.
yeah,
That's very fun.
very much looking forward to that. I think they're going to be showing it off at Adepticon. I don't know when it'll be in stores
They're
though.
running demos. Yeah.
Right, demos at Adepticon. So yeah, that looks great. And then what else did we have? I think that was it for now. We've already done that. Yes, we've already done that.
Mhm.
So we will end that there, and we'll move on to
Events.
Okay, so I'll do this one first because it's my. Oh, hang on. Did my
Brainchild.
stream go? Oh, sorry. Just something happened on my screen. Oh no, it's nothing. Never mind. Yeah. So I have an event coming up. Thunder over Helheim. It is Saturday, the 18th of March. It's kicking off at 9 o'clock in the morning, so a bit early for some people, perhaps, but nice and early start, so nice and early finish. It's going to be hosted at First Reservoir Scout Hall in Reservoir, which is, for those people who don't know Melbourne very much, it's in the north. I like to call it a middle suburb. Some people would like to call it an outer suburb. It really depends on how you grew up in Melbourne.
Outer suburb. Nice
um,
much.
yeah, it's very close to me, so that helps me for a change. But yeah, it's a good spot. It's nice and big, and plenty of parking, and it's there's not too far from cafes and stuff, so it'll be good. I'll probably actually do a table at the local pub, maybe at lunchtime, because we'll have plenty of time for lunch. Cost is $25, 3 rounds, ITS 14 with a Spec Ops extra, 12 XP. The missions are Secure the Admiral, which is a custom mission that I've made. Sensor Field, which is a custom mission from Rob Wright, one of the missions that, for ANZAC Cup, and finishing off with Rescue. Event in rego form can be found on Facebook or on the Loss of Lieutenant and Infinity Vic Discord page. Depending on numbers, assistance will be appreciated. Setting up on the Friday night, Saturday morning. It is a big haul, but I've got a soft cap of 20 at the moment, just to like sort of make setup easier and less of a headache for myself. Any questions? Hit me up on Facebook or Discord. So, you guys going to come to my event?
I'm almost certainly not, but unless something changes, I will be. I want to go. I've had a date planned for a long time with Mark from Geelong, so he's a very busy man, and I don't get to see him very often. So at the moment, that's pending.
Okay,
In
no problem.
place,
Jacob, you planning coming?
Yep, I am. I need to get back into the tournament. I've had to bail on like the slow grow and a couple of other things, CanCon and all that sort of thing. So I want to get back into it. No idea
Yeah.
what I'll take.
Good. It'll be good to
without Val there, maybe I will take TAC represent.
There you go.
It'll be good to see you there. And like I say, it's a Spec Ops extra, so that's a little bit of extra fun and
I gotta look into that.
interesting stuff to do there.
Overhead. Very nice.
Next up, we have ANZAC Cup. Do you want me to take this one away as well, or just someone else want to do this?
I feel like I know. Val, did you want to give it a shot and do it?
Let's see if I don't cut out.
Yeah.
Somebody call me on Facebook if I cut out. Anyway, the ANZAC Cup. It's on the 15th and 16th of April. I think there's a huge Melbourne contingent of about 12 players so far coming down. It's at the Australian Defence Force Academy gym. It's 4 rounds, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. This helps. This is designed to help people traveling from interstate. Round 1 begins on Saturday at 12 o'clock. 300 points, ITS, no mods. 2 custom missions. Intent is to provide a standard ITS experience, but with enough difference to be interesting. Full mission lineup is as follows: starting with Frontline, then Sensor Field, Klingly classified. I fucking hate that name, but yeah. So it's a change up on the highly classified mission, and then finishing off with Rescue. So some great missions. So Frontline's a great mission, Rescue not so much, and then Sensor Field and highly classified or Klingly classified are both pretty good from all accounts. They're aiming for 32 players, which is pretty good. It's currently uncapped, but it does have size limits, so please register soon. You can sign up via the Facebook Infinity event through Infinity Australia. It's $25, and you have any questions, contact Rob Wright directly or in an imp on Discord. And what big mention is a lot of the proceeds. I think a lot of the proceeds are going to this to a pretty worthy cause. What was it? Yeah, Soldier On.
Soldier On. Yeah. So I think it's So definitely this is not the kind of event if you want to go and get some kick-ass prizes. The prizes will most of that money that we give goes straight to Soldier On. They do. The last time I was at this one, they do have like a best sports prize, which is pretty cool. But the actual placings is lesser to the fact that we're raising money for a good cause, and because it's on Saturday afternoon, we can get there on Friday and get pretty shit-faced. So
that's what I said last time. It's like it starts pretty late, so if you want to get a bit munted, you'd be all right.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to taking Val out to some moose heads and just winding him up and letting him go.
I've already got my first round game lined up if I do attend, and that's Ivory. I will be rocking out Morats versus TAC.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
Supremacy.
Okay, and then finally,
Big one.
finally
big
we
one.
have Burn City Brawl. So this was, I think, announced in the last episode. We have a few more details for it now. Like I say, it's 5th and 6th of August. The location has been locked in. It is the Flemington and Kensington Bowls Club, which is just sort of northwest of the city. We're gonna have basically the whole function space of the Bowls Club for the entire weekend, including Friday for setup. There will be a bar on open bar during Saturday and Sunday from midday, and the rest of the details will be forthcoming soon once myself and the other TOs figure out the missions. But yeah, we're hoping for a bigger and better Burn City Brawl. I think we've had 40 the last couple of years, so we're looking to try and break the 50 or even 60 if we can. This venue is a bit bigger, so we should be able to easily fit 50. But aim for 60 and get that interstate crowd coming over and
Get them down.
coming down and show them the Melbourne hospitality.
Friendly meta.
So friendly, as I think.
Burst in fun.
Burst in fun. I don't know. Did you listen to that episode with Rob? I think he described us as a Shark Tank now. So I think we've gone up. We've gone up. And but yeah. Anyway, the details are on Facebook at the moment and on our Discord. But as soon as the Reservoir form is up, we will let you all know. Okay, so that's the events and announcements out of the way. We have our challenge winner to announce. So we're into a new month, we're into March. So that means the February challenge has completed. That was the Marker State challenge. We ended up having 5 excellent entries, and thanks to everyone who took part in the challenge. Congratulations to Bruce or Leo Tolstoy or some other name. He's got many, many names. Socrates is another one. But he is from New Zealand, and he did a very detailed narrative bat rep, and you are our random winner who wins a blister of your choice from Toy Soldier Imports. So congratulations, Bruce. Also a special shout out to our new local player, Lewis, who wrote an excellent report on his lessons learned using a variety of marker states at the latest slow grow. So it was really good to see his sort of thought process on what he sort of broke it down into what he expected to see or what he expected to happen and what actually happened. So he would talk about like how he sort of thought camouflage would work going into a game, and then he played his games and he was like, oh, actually that didn't work the way I thought it was going to work. Or it worked better, or it didn't work as well as I thought. He sort of did that for Camel State, Hollow Mask. He didn't end up facing any impersonation, so he didn't write about that. But he did sort of talk about some of his experiences. Yeah, which is good to see. New players, because he sort of talked about how camouflage was one of the things that brought him into the game of Infinity. And he wasn't quite sure how it was going to work and how it was going to sort of work in game. So he was just basically talking about his expectations. So that was a really good little report, and you win a limited edition Lost Lieutenant patch, which we'll hopefully give out to you at Thunder over Helheim in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes.
So yeah, did you guys have anything you wanted to add on to the February challenge?
I use Pavel as an assassin piece, so using the marker state to get you into position. So that was that's something I utilized.
Oh, because he can berserk then, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, walking into line of fire, they discover you. You don't care. Your next order is berserk.
Berserk anyway. Yeah. So that was really a powerful way to use camo. Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah.
Really,
cool.
Really good.
So with that now we have our March challenge, and shout out to our local Hugh who actually came up with this idea. Sorry I forgot to shout you out when we announced it on the socials, but thanks to Hugh for this coming up with this idea. It is, and also thanks to Val for coming up with the name. It's called You Only Need 10 Models. So this is basically run a demo game or introductory game of Infinity. It can be anything. It can be anything you would regard as a demo game. It can be at your regular game night, a day or evening at your house, or even a full-on slow grow or escalation style event, which is what we just wrapped up doing here in Melbourne. Whatever it is, we want it to be aimed squarely at new players with the aim of, by the end of the month, you will have acquired new knowledge on what worked and what didn't work for introducing new players to the game. I'm a little bit scarred from my demo game, or not, I wouldn't call it a demo game, I wouldn't call it an intro game, I'd call it like a small 150 points if N4 with a new player, and I literally haven't seen him since. I think I scared him away with me
Oh,
with
no.
me forking in the arrow with a crazy koala, and he's just standing here going, "What the shit is this game all
This
about? What
happened.
is a
Oh,
fork?
no.
Why is there a koala? Why can't I see through smoke? Why am I dead?" And I was like, "Yeah, but it's fun." And he's like, "Uh-huh." I'm like, "Oh no, I went too hard."
No.
So I have a good story on like what not to do is confuse your opponent with too many rules too quickly.
Yes.
So anyway, as always, send us in your experiences of running intro games of N4 or Code 1 to us as a Google Doc to lostoflieutenant@gmail.com. A random winner will be selected at the end of the month to win a blister of their choice from Toy Soldier Imports. You said you're giving a demo game this week, aren't you?
Yeah, a friend of mine, he bought into Infinity a little while ago, but he's been pretty busy. But he lives in Ringwood around the corner, and he's found some time. So hopefully, he comes down on Thursday. We push the models around, see if he gets them in the mood to paint a little bit. He's an amazing painter. And yeah, hopefully
Okay,
he
so
just starts coming down on Thursday.
he has miniature experience.
Yeah, he used to play Malifaux, and he plays a lot of board games with his brother and stuff, and like Kingdom Death and stuff. He
Cool.
paints. He's an amazing painter, one of the best I've seen. So yeah, so hopefully he gets into it. He'd be a great addition to the community and be a lot of fun. Yeah.
On intro games. Sorry, Jacob, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say actually, relatively recently, so in October, General Games opened up near me. So a little bit further out east. I was talking to the owner because I didn't know it existed until this weekend.
Oh, whereabouts?
He's in Churnside Park. So
cool.
you know Churnside Park, Reading, if you know that one, Reading Cinema, just
Yep.
near there.
Yep. All right.
And
Now the
the
outer
owner
suburbs.
was an old N1 player.
Oh shit!
So I'm fingers crossed, hopefully going to like try and get him back into it, and hopefully get
Oh.
that shop to start stocking,
Have you?
or at least doing orders for Infinity.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Have you been into the store yet? Do you know the
I
size and?
have.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big store. It's a pretty big store, pretty full. Like, and it does have a back area. They've got terrain, mostly 40k stuff at the moment. Like I said,
Okay.
it only opened October last year. So if you think
Right.
about like Christmas and all that sort of thing that I went through, it's a pretty new store as far as
Yeah,
stores
right.
go.
There's a lot of game stores out that end. You know, you got House of War, you got Portal, and then you got General Games. So interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you have at the Malvern store, the old Malvern store.
Yeah, it's where my friend plays a lot of Marvel. My other friend.
Yeah.
So
It's just too small a
hopefully,
store to do anything big on there. Like nothing
Yeah,
bigger than really Marvel is probably as big as you can
Marvel.
go.
That's it. Absolutely.
No, this
Yeah,
is
cool.
a much bigger place. So.
Cool. I'll have to check. Well, I don't live at that the end of town anymore, but I'll have to check it out when I'm over there
That's
for work.
why I'll run my tournament and force you to drive all the way over.
Hey, that's right. The more, the merrier.
Oh, sorry, I just sneezing there.
Oh.
And then lastly, before we finish up on that, I did give an intro game yesterday, actually. Not of Infinity, but of a song of Ice and Fire.
Very
Excuse
nice.
me. So Josh wanted to learn how to play the game. So we had a 30-point game of Lannisters or Starks versus Starks, but proxied as Lannisters. And that
Solidified Josh into Infinity. Very good.
Maybe we'll see. Well, he's ordered some Martells, so hopefully they'll arrive before the end of the year.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So right, one more thing then before we finish up and go for a quick break. Is we are now into the last final month of the quarter, which means we've got less than 4 weeks left to do our hobby challenge, which is newly classified. So this is the last month, and we'd really like to see the hottest takes on a new set of classifieds. We've had a bunch of entries in so far with some suggestions on how to change the missions, or some sort of their thoughts on why the classified deck feels the way it does, and suggestions on how to make it better. But we'd love to see some actual like classified ideas. Like someone write me like 10 classifieds that is just like they're just so different, because I really want to try some new ones. The slyly classified mission is a great example of what that Rob Wright wrote. Rob Wright wrote is a great way of like changing up how classifieds play in the game. But of course, it doesn't actually change the classifieds themselves. So,
Exactly.
if you've got like just over 3 weeks left to submit that, so if you can, write it into us at lostlieutenant@gmail.com, and at the end of this month, you will go into a random draw to win a small box set of your choice from Toy Soldier Imports.
Nice stuff.
Please, like I know we mentioned before, like extra brownie points if you do the art. But ultimately, this is what I've been most excited about for a long time. I want to see people's ideas for a new classified desk.
Bit of creativity.
So if you got to make freaking a Word document with just tables and descriptions, that's fine with me. I want to see. I want a whole bunch of them to make a really interesting deck.
Yep.
If we get enough, we could even go do an episode on it or a spotlight on it if we get enough.
Yeah.
Just to discuss all of them. Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah, I'd love to just playtest it. Absolutely, would love to playtest some ideas. I mean, I've had some ideas, but I just haven't had enough games in to really, really trial it.
Yeah,
all right.
I mean, it's the same thing. We can't enter our own competition, otherwise I would.
Could you steal an idea from Marvel where you bring a certain classifiers and then you can play one of them to like try achieve it?
I think.
Anyway, that's another thing.
No, I think as I've heard a lot of people talk about Malifaux.
Marvel.
The way Malifaux uses its schemes could be implemented into Infinity. Even the way 40k uses it could be implemented, but I haven't heard how Marvel works for it. I would have to look into how that works, but yeah, just borrowing ideas from other games that work. The way that Song of Ice and Fire secret objectives work, maybe not the objectives, but not the way they work, but the way they're written can be quite nice as well. So definitely, there's lots of ideas out there. It's just how to implement it into the game.
Of course, and
currently
keep it as well balanced as it is. One thing just before we take a quick break, you know what we haven't heard much of for a little while? Warcrow.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. Have you heard anything about Warcrow?
I mean, I follow them on Twitter, and I feel like there has been like every other day there's like an update, but it's not it's nothing new. It's just like more stuff.
There's a couple of lore things because I think the last thing I heard was like the mage they had in the demo that had like her background came out.
Interesting.
So they've been trickling stuff. It's just not a lot of gameplay stuff. I think the last one I saw, I'm gonna say prompted by our confusion was how to use the freaking energy table.
They keep putting out Kickstarter updates. Okay.
Yeah.
So all the stuff's if you've bathed it, you'll be up to date, I guess. Yeah, because I'm interested. I'm actually itching for a fantasy game. I must say, I am getting my itch is growing for a fantasy game, and I think CB are going to do a good job. So I'm starting to think about it more and more. Where I'm like, all right, CB are going to do a fantasy game. I'd be about it.
I was definitely thinking about it yesterday while we were pushing around rank and flank miniatures in a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
I was thinking, it's like, will I still be playing this game when Warcrow comes out?
Yeah. Well, I was
it's there in my mind.
Same. I was looking at that other stupid game, Conquest. I'm like, this is cool, but I'm like, I don't need it. And if I'm gonna play a fantasy game, I might as well wait till CB bring out Warcraft and give that a crack. Because
as a Steel Phalanx player, I appreciated Conquest having Greeks.
Yeah, the dead Romans and undead Romans. Yeah. No, it's awesome. It's awesome. Anyway, you guys want to take a quick break? I've got one beer left in the fridge, so
yep.
Sad time.
Go crack open that beer, and we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back, folks, to the second half of the show, where we're gonna get down into the maligned unique profiles that you should be trying out in your games of Infinity. And I was just gonna say Jacob's disappeared, but he's back. So for the segment, we're gonna pick a profile from each. We were going to pick a profile from each army, examine why it might be underused, and make a case for it in games. However, we are not that well versed with every faction, so instead, we have just picked 3 units or profiles that we think fit this criteria, and are going to go round robin and talk about them. So I'll start off first, and the very first profile I want to talk about. Actually, before we get into the profile itself, we just want to
hold on. Can we touch on this order of things?
Oh, okay.
Can I just remind you two that I'm the 3rd best player in Australia at the moment? So maybe, in my opinion, should be heard first.
I think if you go on to what's that thing called? OTM? OTM? I think Tom Bowl is number 8 in number 8 at the moment. He's significantly higher than you. So
Oh
when you
dear.
when you turn into Tom Bowl, then we can
Then we can talk.
we'll put you up there. How's that sound?
Okay, fine. I'll wait my turn.
Actually, shout out as well. Just on that, when CB did that, what was it? The best players in the world. So, because you know how like OTM, it splits it up into the US, Spain, and then rest of the world, which is basically everything that isn't US and Spain. In that top 10, Tom Bowl was number 8. And so congratulations to Tom Bowl for that. And number 10 was actually my opponent in WA, James Higgins. He's the top 10. He cracked the top 10. So the WA meta doing real well over there.
Yeah, well done. That's
either
awesome.
that or James is just clubbing baby seals. I'm not quite sure how the ELO works, but that's what I'm taking from that. Sorry, did you have anything else you wanted to mention there?
He invites him over to his place, the seals, and he gets them drunk. And then beats them.
Makes them play in a purposely bad table and then beats them.
Yeah. Oh, the plot thickens. Oh, jeez.
I beat him.
I really hope we don't ruin your relationship with him because he's a really lovely guy. And
he is. He's fantastic. Yeah, I definitely would play at his house again. No, I do want to just kind of give a bit of a backdrop to this episode. I think you came up with it, Val, right? We were talking about, the eternal hipster that you are, always trying to make bad profiles work for you. But this isn't so much about making bad profiles work, necessarily bad profiles, but this is maybe a profile that is perhaps not taken for various reasons. And we're going to try and make a case for why you should be giving it a second take.
At least considering it, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and it may be that we can't think of any really good, solid reason to take it, but we're going to try. We're going to look at potentially, it might be the mission that you may not have considered this profile in. It might be very mission specific. It could be meta specific as well. We're obviously going to be talking from our experience and what we've played. So what I'm sure what will happen is I'll be talking about a profile, and then somebody online will be like, "That profile's amazing. I take it all the time." I'm like, "Yeah, well, it doesn't work for Australia. It doesn't work for my games."
Oh, for my meta or whatever.
So, but hopefully there'll be some
mission specific is a really good point. Like the Seed Soldier paramedics, they're great for like supplies and stuff like that. But yeah, in other missions they're not so great. Mission specific, definitely profiles definitely get better and worse depending on missions.
Yeah, and there are definitely some oddball missions in there and that's something good about ITS. I think is a lot. There are missions out there that really require you to look again at a profile and go, well, maybe I don't take the quote unquote best profile. Maybe I take this other profile because if it's loadout, for example. Yeah. So. We'll get into it. So my first pick I'm going to talk about tonight is, hang on.
Drum roll, everybody.
Dealing with technology again. Sorry, here we go. Is there we go. The Nahab. So the humble Nahab air mobile team for Hack-Islam and Rama is the first profile I'm going to be talking about tonight. So this, like I said, this profile is available in vanilla Hack and in Rama. We'll just quickly go through its sort of profile and what it does. So it is a light infantry, CC like 4/4 move, BS12, 1 wound, no wound in cap, CC specialist. It has a CC of 23, Berserk +3, Martial Arts level 2, and the important Natural Born Warrior. It also has a plethora of options and loadouts, which can be split into roughly 2 categories, parachutist and infiltration. Now, I don't think too many people say that the parachutist option is bad. I definitely think that people do take the parachutist option, and the parachutist option is good. I'm just going to start calling it the AD option because my mouth can't work. But the profile I'm going to be talking about tonight are the infiltration options, specifically the killer hacker version. The reason why I want to talk about it is because it's something I've been running a fair bit in my Rama games, and so I want to make a case for it to you all tonight, and see if you guys can come around to my way of thinking. So the hacker infiltration is 33 points. It has a submachine gun, emitter, nanopulsar, and a viral CC weapon. And it's also whip 14 killer hacker with BTS 3. And like I said before, it's got stealth and it's got no ending cap with shock immunity. So it sits in the midfield. It can push buttons. It can fight in close combat. It's got a submachine gun with BS12, which is fine for hack. Right, it's not it's not blowing the doors off anything, but it's decent. It has a template weapon, and it has the ability to go into marker state with something like Cyber Mask. So I'll quickly talk about why I believe it is perceived as underused or even a maligned profile. It's basically because it's a non-marker state model in the midfield is essentially why I think a lot of people don't take it, because it is vulnerable if you go second to being ganked by either another killer hacker or even another hacker or any kind of warband that can get into the midfield, which is absolutely a concern and absolutely a reason why you might want to be careful taking it. Most people
like all the birders, right? What a trade up.
Yeah,
9 points trades for this.
Yeah, most people would look at this and go, well, why I don't want to take this because it is I don't always go first and I don't want to lose it without actually having it do anything before I start my turn. Now the reason why
Can I ask a quick question on that?
Yep.
Would you have any advice on how to play around that weakness off the top of your head?
Yes. So first things first, go first. No, but more broadly, more broadly is it's you've really got this is where you would be looking at your opponent and who you are facing against. I've taken this profile many times. I find it to be a very useful profile in Rama because we do lack midfield specialists. We have the Tuareg, who's great, but they're the very similar price.
Yes.
This guy allows you to have a model in the midfield with an order start of the game who's a hacker, or who can be a hacker. Yep. Now, how I would get around going second with this model, there's a few things you can do, but like I say, going back to who you're up against, if I roll up against the vanilla Nomads player and they elect to go first, I'm probably either taking the list that doesn't have this model in it, or I am reserving it and putting it in a position where it's going to be very difficult for my opponent to get to. Now, because I have obviously Morans to worry about, and I have Jazz and Billy to worry about. The Morans are actually less of a worry than you think, because often Morans, in my experience anyway, don't move. They stay on a rooftop and they be annoying. They don't tend to move closer to you to get to get things into repeater range. They can. They absolutely, a player can, but often a Moran will have to expose itself because it also hasn't got marker state. The other way you can keep this thing alive is by having other similar models nearby. So in something like Rama, you have access to the Beast Hunter. The Beast Hunter acts as insulation for the Nahab.
Very nice.
It's a camo marker.
Are we just talking about keeping it alive if you go second?
Yes.
Yeah. Because that's one of the weaknesses of it, right?
Yeah, that's the main weakness and why I think a lot of people don't take it is because it's hard. It can be hard to defend. But the fact that you get the Beast Hunter in Rama, and also even more broadly in Vanilla, you have got Delamy, you've got Libertos, you've got Farzan, you've got Alhawa, and you've got the Beast Hunter. So but specifically in Rama, you've got the Beast Hunter that can be used to defend it. It can also be a reserve model, so it can go in a position where it's going to be the most value to you. I am yet to have this thing die to a first turn Alpha Strike. Unless my opponent has dedicated anti-hacking capabilities, which you don't always run into. Like I said, if I'm running up against nomads, I'm probably going to pick a list that doesn't have this model in it. If I'm up against combined army, probably not taking this model. But if I come up against Ikari Company, if I come up against Dashat, if I come up against Pano, I'm probably putting this model down here anyway, because it's still 1 wound, no wounding cap with a whip 14 BTS 3, and it still has Trinity. It can still fight back. It's probably it'll probably die, but you you just have to be careful how you put it down.
Absolutely.
And if you survive if you go second, if this model survives the first turn, that weakness of not having a marker state goes away.
Of course.
Because it's a killer hacker, and you just cybermask it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
this is one of the few times I've seen it is an anti-everything model. There's nothing that this thing doesn't have an answer to.
True.
So other than long range.
Its range is a problem. Yeah.
Right. So what marker state means it can get in. It's anti-hacker with the hacking devices, anti-emitter, anti-tag with the emitter, right? And anti-infantry with some machine gun, which is also sort of anti-armor, right? And then you've got anti-low BTS with
nanopulsar and viral rifle as well.
And of course, like in close combat, so long as you don't have huge BTS, it's going to do well.
Yeah. So, and how I've used this thing specifically in my games of Infinity is one of the other criticisms that you might have for a unit like this in the game is you may a midfield piece that's maybe a CC specialist, you might want to be putting something else in there that's cheaper. So something like the Beast Hunter, something like the Liberto or Delamy that can go in and do it like a disruptive play. They can walk in, put a template down, die, but they maybe take a model or two with them. This guy obviously don't want to be doing that with this because he's 30 odd points. But what I found in Rama is because Rama has such bad defense, like we're not great at defending ourselves. Units like Carmen and Batard and the Beast Hunter are often what I might want to keep back to keep my defenses up. So if something like the Nahab is on my side, and I'm going first, that Nahab might be my reserve model. I may even over-infiltrate with it because I'm feeling ballsy, because I can do it on a 10. And that's what I might send into my opponent first turn, as opposed to the Beast Hunter, because the Beast Hunter acts as insulation for my rest of my army. So does Carmen and Batard. Like people will be like, "Oh, just send in Carmen and Batard," but there's been games before where Carmen and Batard they eat shit, and then I've lost like the defense for my Harris on my flank, and then my opponent can like counter punch me really hard. Same with the Beast Hunter. So I like having the Nahab as a kind of another unit that I can use if I believe it's going to be worth it. To basically engage things in CC, shoot things with the SMG, or as I said, as you probably noticed, it's got Berserk +3 with martial arts level 2, which means it can CC on a 29.
It's fun with a D-charge.
And the one good thing,
yes, there is a specialist. Sorry, just to clarify, there is a specialist operative version that has a boarding shotgun and D-charge, which I don't take as often because I do appreciate the ability of marker stating. So having a viral CC weapon is still very useful. Not as anti-tag as a D-charge is, but a viral CC weapon is still perfectly adequate on a damage 14 model.
Yeah. And over the parachuters, the argument could be made that these are easier to place reactively than a parachuters, because the parachuters you got left and right side. That's it. If shit's going down the middle, this guy can already be there.
Absolutely, and that's a good point that you raise as well. Is again, people will be like, "Well, why not just take the parachutist then?" Because then you're safe.
Asked that question in the chat. Hoppy asked the question, what's the benefit of infiltration over parachuters, by the way?
Now you've ruined the illusion. I was trying to fold it into the discussion.
So, so the reason why I would take the infiltration over the parachutist is the parachutists You don't get the order at the start of the game.
Mhm.
The parachutist has a limited places where it can walk on from. It's got a short range weapon, so it's not necessarily going to be in a position where it can use it. The other thing as well is the buttons that you need to push are in the middle of the table. They're not on the
Yeah.
sides. So
And on the side.
the times that I've been able
Mm.
to walk up, push a button, go into Cybermask, and then use him as a turn 2, it's like a turn 1 denial piece, and then a turn 2 attack piece is where I like to see him. There's nothing wrong with the parachutist, but don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make a case for the fact that infiltration is better than
One
the
over the
parachutist,
other,
but I am
but
making
both
a case
viable.
for the fact that the infiltration is viable.
No.
Like it's the threat on the table at the start of the game is also important. Like the threat, the order, the fact that it's right there to push buttons.
Mhm.
You
And
have
it's
to be
closer to
you have to be careful that it does have frenzy. So once it frenzies, it won't be able to cybermask anymore. But often it hasn't mattered because it's the last time I used it, I walked it into a line Kazakh link and killed every model in the link team, and then it died, which is fine.
Beautiful.
I just find that whenever I build Rama lists, I find myself going, I really wish I had that model on the table, not having it off the table. Not saying it's not good. I do enjoy it having the parachutist, but I think infiltration for me has just done more work. Quickly before, I think, is there any other questions for this one?
No, I think it's good.
You have quite a
No.
liability.
You can always deploy it in your own deployment zone if you go in second, right?
You can, yes.
It's the same way you use a zero. Like if you recognize that, hey, this model is important to my list, and hey, my opponent's got a lot of like good answers to this model. You know what? Make him work for it. I'll deploy to my deployment zone. It doesn't cost me any orders to do that. It costs you more orders to get it. And if you don't get it, I can develop it throughout the game and still make it useful to me because it's got a market state.
Yeah.
And I can still get out of my deployment zone.
The other, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's all. That's
the
my
other
experience with
thing
the
that
zero.
I see people being negative just in general on the Nahab, especially when it comes to Rama, is there are so many other good models in Rama that are specialists that have got movement skills that also have a gun or can be in a link team that can then tote around a gun and a specialist. So I'm talking like Mukhtars are a prime example. Right,
Yes.
the Mukhtar hacker can be in a Harris with a Mukhtar MSV2 Red Fury, and you've got a BS 13 mimetism hacker with BTS 6, no one in cap, and shock immunity that's 6-2 move and starts plus 4 inches up the table. So I can see why people say, well, I could have the Nahab, or I could pay less points for the Mukhtar hacker.
I think that's going to be a theme for a lot of these. Is that the fact is they tend to compete with models that make more sense.
But one of the things that I do like about this profile is it does sort of do more in that it can fight in close combat. It can go into a marker state and protect itself. Its guns are not great. I'm not really talking about the Red Fury option because I would never really take the infiltration Red Fury, but I would take the parachutist Red Fury, but that's not the topic of discussion for tonight. The other and then quick briefly before I pass it on is running this thing in hack is harder to do because Hack Islam just have such a wider pool of units to choose from and less weaknesses. Why take a Nahab when if you need an infiltrating specialist, take the Al Hawa or the Hunzakut or the Farzad. Exactly. If you need something to attack things in close combat, you got the Fidei. Now, if you look at the Fidei, which is almost 30 points or 25 points, and you look at the Al Hawa, now both those combined together is more expensive than Nahab. So you could potentially get one model for the one model instead, but I do find it harder to include them in vanilla hack list. I've included the Nahab hacker infiltration with a Fidei before, and I have found that to be quite interesting because what I've done is I've deployed the Fidei or the Nahab first, or the Nahab first. My opponent's gone, ooh, juicy. I've deployed the Fidei first. My opponent's then gone, all right, I'll counter deploy your Fidei, and then my counter deploy is a Nahab, and he's gone, oh, actually I'm not gonna be able to deal with it in the same way as I can with the Fidei. And then the Nahab, admittingly this was for looting and sabotage where I needed the decharges on the Nahab, but that's another story. So it's harder to defend a hack, because even the AD option, you've got like
You've got of things to compare with.
You've got other things. You've got the Regiks, you've got the Boktar.
Yeah.
Although honestly, I would say that you could probably still run this thing as the parachutist option in something like hack, even the Red Fury option. But specifically, the hacker is this hacker is a harder one, especially because in vanilla hack you've also got the Berid 15-point Berid killer hacker.
Yeah.
So you can you can easily combine the Berid killer hacker with something in midfield for very similar points.
Yeah, I think what you'll find for this one is he'll be the only one that is really good at close combat.
Yeah, like there's very few things in the game that are better than this guy in close combat. Like this thing is just an absolute, anything with martial arts combined with Natural Born Warrior is an absolute beast in CC. And I've had a lot of success running this unit, and that's my TED talk on the infiltration version.
Awesome. No, I like it. I like it a lot, and I think it's just awesome. It's similar to Pavel. It does a couple of things that Pavel does really well. So, fully on board. Hey.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So next up we have
Jacob.
Oh, sorry, that's not very zoomed in. Sorry, I don't know why that's not so more zoomed in. Let me just. There we go. That's better. Okay, Jacob. He's going to be talking about Chusar tonight.
I just realized you probably got the damn stream up. Yeah. So, Chusar, Toysar, however you want to say him. Very much, kind of like even more overlooked. N3, he's had a bit of a glow up come N4, I should say. So good things about Chusar is he is an excellent gunfighter. He has good BS. He has a powerful weapon, right? That is AP, DA, and shock. With mimetism -3 and moderate spectral visor. So he's going to probably
DA and shock.
Yeah, so he's able to be anti-tag, anti-infantry. Anti-tag, anti-infantry. The mimetism means that, let's say, for instance, he wants to take on a Vet Kazakh. He's not dealing with the Vet Kazakh's mimetism, but he is giving that Vet Kazakh that -3.
He is the quintessential mark of what makes a good gunfighter, in that he has mimetism and MSV1. Like that's the to me that is like up down.
Awesome.
Cancels yours and then imposes a mod on me.
Yeah. He does have a sort of, I guess, strange addition of a biometric visor. Now, if I'm correct, that gives you
it's just fucking that just makes him 39 points rather than 38. That's
yeah. I just remind me again. I don't know. I probably should have looked this up. What does the biometric visor do?
Fucking useless. It makes the -6 to discover an impersonation marker just zero. But you still have to peel back two levels of impersonation.
2 layers.
And that's it. It's stupid. They just need to make biometric visor. Anyone with biometric visor turns, I don't know, impersonation level 2 to level 1 or level 1 to level 2, whichever way around it is. I always forget.
Yeah.
Basically, go on, Jay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so biometric visors, nice, gives them some sort of defense to the army as a general against specular killers or anything like that. The last thing is, and this is probably what makes him stand out. I'll talk about who he competes with in a second, but what makes him stand out from the things that he competes with is that he is pretty damn tough. He's got okay armor at armor 2, which means armor 5 in cover, right? And he is immune to shock with NWI. So not only is he a good gunfighter, he does have the ability to kind of stuff up depending on what you're fighting.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I don't there's a lot of profiles in Steel Phalanx that work better in vanilla. Chusar is one of them. He works in Steel Phalanx, and I would probably say Steel Phalanx only. Once you get into vanilla, you've got MSV 6 hidden deployment snipers.
MSV 6. Wow.
Yeah.
Mims is a
Beats
minus
yeah,
6.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So what you're saying then
Uh,
is he good? Is he good in Steel Phalanx because of lack of something similar, or is he good in Steel Phalanx because he can link?
he's good. He's good in Steel Phalanx because he can link, and there's less sort of competition for his spot. Now in Steel Phalanx, you still have Atalanta, and who is well, not even arguably, is a better shot than him.
Yes.
Mhm.
Although one could argue a slightly less scary gun.
Yep, fair enough.
But the main thing is Atalanta is squishier. She does have the immunity to shock. She doesn't have the NWI. So one mistake, one bad roll from Atalanta, and she's gone.
Yep. And
She
also she doesn't she doesn't have mimetism, so she's actually easier to hit than he is.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Flip side, who's in the same range bands as him is Phoenix. Now Phoenix has the advantage that his mimetism is better at -6. He does have smoke, and he can get rid of cover because he's got like the armor from cover because he has the templates.
Mhm.
But he does fuck all to tags.
Right.
Or
But yeah, but he's not as good at shooting, but he is sort of the tougher version. So he's not as good BS. He doesn't have the MSV. And his gun isn't quite as scary, although one could argue that continuous damage is pretty damn scary.
It's pretty damn scary.
What I find with Chusa is that I like the harass that he can be put in.
Okay, and what's that?
Okay.
I think it's the Mahi
Yep.
fire team.
Steel Phalanx fire teams that can be
Steel Phalanx fire
made
teams,
of Mackies or Hoplite.
Hoplite.
And then he can join that along with Scylla, Scylla's bot or Drakios. And then obviously the wild cards, yeah.
You have to take a Mahi or you have to take a Hoplite. So one way or another, if you're taking one of these links, you're forced to spend around about like 30 to 40
points.
30 to 40 points. I would take the Mahi and potentially probably take just the Breaker Combi because you've already got Toysa there for the range.
Yeah,
right. Then I would take a look at taking Cilia. And what you got when you make that fire team is you have an excellent gunfighter with a decent backup close range gunfighter in the Mahi because it still has the MSV1 and it still has the mimetism.
Plus, and it's got NCO.
Yep, and it's got NCO. So you are allowing like with the nerf, I suppose, to Hector, it is giving you the ability to get that order efficiency in. You've then got Cilia, who is a good specialist. She's normal hacking device with Trinity +2 damage. As well as a boarding shotgun and pitcher. So what you've got is admittedly a somewhat expensive ball of units. But it is a ball of units that can do pretty much everything you need to do in a mission. It can fight, it can do objectives, right? It can fight up close, it can fight at long-ish range. Right, so
and it can go an arrow. And if you need to, you can go an arrow.
That's the thing, is that he is a decent ARO piece. He's relatively immune to smoke. Really the only thing that's letting him get close is white noise or eclipse.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think as an active turn pace, he's legit. He can lose a fight against against some guns. He can afford to lose a fight, and go again because he's got that no wound and shock immunity and 5 armor. In a link, burst 3, BS14 up down. That's as good as it gets.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. So the thing I find that the reason why you don't see him much is it's his spot is really competitive.
Yeah.
Like like taking Phoenix makes sense, and taking
Gamer
Atalanta makes sense as well.
and a gamer as well. A gamer missile launcher, hidden deployment.
Yeah, even an Agema sort of gets into that realm. The main thing that Toysa does is he's the middle ground of all of them. He's
Yep.
not quite as tough and as resilient to like someone getting things wrong like Phoenix, because Phoenix can just drop smoke at his feet.
That's right.
And he's not necessarily as good a shot
Atalanta.
as Atalanta, but he is the combination of those two.
Yeah.
Probably the one big thing with Toysa though is that with the gun he has, if things go wrong for your opponent,
Yeah, they go really wrong.
right, they go really wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas something with high armor in cover will survive Atalanta.
Yep.
And similarly, something just with high armor will survive Phoenix.
Something with mimetism won't be hit by Phoenix.
That's good. Something with mimetism. So another mimetism MSV. So Toysa himself will be able to probably take on Phoenix better than Phoenix can take on Toysa.
Yeah, or
anything like
come out, or what's the name, a bug Marie sniper, or whatever you might. The up down, he ignores it, right, and he's got the active turn, so it gives him the advantage. And he can also fight tags where he's gonna break tags while
what I see as being the primary difference in how you would run a link team with Tucer in it compared to Phoenix, or compared to how you might use Atalanta or anything similar like that, is this is to me as an active turn Harris. You can put it on Aero. The Feuerback does have that zero range band over 32, which can come in clutch sometimes because it drops him from a BS14 to BS11, rather than like if it was Phoenix, you'd be looking at -6, so you'd be going into sevens. So that's good. But I think predominantly, if you're going to be running this guy with a Mackie, with the NCO and Scylla, then you're wanting them to be moving up, pushing buttons, killing fools, because this guy still got burst 3 out to 16 inches, which people might go, haha, it's not burst 4, but if you get hit, it's 2 saves.
It's fucked. Yeah, it's
and
brutal.
I see this team as one that you would break out of your DZ, get to the midfield, and it would be for missions where the midfield is the most important. So ones where we're potentially taking a Myrmidon team and getting in someone's face isn't worth it. So something like supplies. There's no reason if your game is going well to go past halfway.
Exactly.
Right. Or better one. What's it called? One with the tech coffin in the middle. Acquisition. Acquisition. There's no reason to get into your opponent's deployment zone. There's nothing there for you.
Yeah,
right, exactly right. Or if you just want to prepare for open tables, and you need to win the firefight and break tags. Have this guy on one of your lists.
I mean, Zephyr raises obviously a good point. He says the issue with this is you can take Uteros, Phoenix, Pandora, and a Myrmidon, and that's 20 less points than taking Scylla, Amaki, and Tucer.
But they're doing different things.
What was this again? Uteros, Phoenix.
Well, they're not doing different things because you've got Uteros, who's got a Mark 12. Phoenix, who's got a heavy rocket launcher, Pandora, who's your hacker and your specialist, and the Myrmidon, who's providing you smoke and the ability to move up the table. I'd argue that they're doing very similar things, and also has smoke.
I suppose I would argue for this one that's true, but this team would struggle a lot more against a Swiss guard than Toysa would.
But yeah, the other thing is Phoenix. Phoenix is only 4 points less than Tucer. It's the link composition that you're allowed is what may bring. I guess I see what you're saying. Yeah, look, I think there's definitely a role for Tucer. But obviously it's how your list is built has to support his inclusion.
Yeah.
I don't think he's necessarily worse than Phoenix or Phoenix is better than him. I think they're just different. And I genuinely, yeah, I think what's his name? That gun that he's carrying is just something like nothing else that they have in
I
their
think
faction.
I think it's unfortunate that CB have made Chooser in the way that he has been made, and that he is very restricted into where he can go. Like
In the link
if you could
team.
branch this guy out into other link teams, um, basically into Myrmidon links, or if Myrmidon links weren't quite so like vast, then you'd probably see this guy more. But like
I think
him the
I think
hoplite,
it.
like no, sorry, him the hoplite and the Mackie, you don't see them. Why? Because Myrmidons are better.
It's because
That's
people haven't. No,
unfortunately.
people haven't got. I don't think people have got there yet. I think the hoplites. Him and a hoplite. Pushing. I think him and a hoplite is the way to go rather than the Mackie, and then using either one of the wild cards in the link might be the way to go for me.
I mean, I would love to
That's
see it. I mean, I do appreciate
yeah.
you bringing them up
It's
because I like the look of the hoplites when they came out, but then I looked at the link team composition. I was like, oh wait, why can't I put a Myrmidon in there? Oh well, never mind.
This episode isn't about agreement. This episode is about
Yeah.
arguments, right? So
you got a good point though. You could take one of the wild cards,
100%.
if you wanted,
Tapes there.
like Pandora would be a good thing for
Yeah, that brings down the
instead of
link.
Cilia.
Exactly, that brings down the link cost nicely with
Yeah,
the
Um,
instead of
specialist.
Scylla, you could take Pandora. Yeah, that's
You can
absolutely
take
true.
Alki and use her Lieutenant Order as the NCO on the hoplite if you want to risk it. In that way, you got a long range gun, a medium range gun, and a super gun. There's lots of
yeah.
things you can do.
Yeah,
But anyway, anything.
it's just the last thing. It is as Zephyr says that it's, or someone said that it's funny that this is called the Steel Phalanx Fire Team, and it's also the least used fire team.
Yeah,
Like
Look,
Steel Phalanx,
this
the fire teams are.
Steel Phalanx.
Oh no, they're not even the core option.
Yeah.
They're just a Harris. Why? Why are
I
you doing
think,
this?
I think, like from what we're seeing from everybody, is that it is the same thing that I feel is that I want to try and make Toysa work.
Groupthink.
There's a place for him. There's missions for him, and there's army comp for him. I think there just has to be some work done to actually find where like how to get him to excel.
Yeah, we're still struggling with the degree of groupthink at the moment, where people haven't really tested it, and the faction's only been updated for about I don't know 6 months or something, 3 to 6 months. So not everyone's tried everything. I
Yep.
think there's still room
Yeah.
for some experimentation.
Agreed. All right, we're moving on to Val's pick. What have we got? Drum roll, please. What's the most
Ooh,
hipster profile we're going to be talking about next? And
best one
it's.
off the
Oh,
bat.
damn it. I fucked this one up. Hang on.
Go,
Sorry.
go.
And it's. The
The
Yan
Yan
Ho. I feel
Whoa,
like Rob is going
she's
to be
a
looking
big
at us going. Is
hoe.
going to be looking at us going. There's nothing wrong with that profile. That profile's really good. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
it's true.
Okay.
So, why do we pick this one?
Because you're a
And
weirdo.
which one? Which one? I think the easiest one to use and the one that's I can make the best case for is the hyper rapid magnetic cannon option, be it lieutenant or otherwise.
So wait,
And what?
are you trying to say that the Yan Ho is not a good is a malign profile?
Yeah,
Like all of them, or just a specific profiles?
I don't think you see it as often as you should.
I don't I don't disagree with.
I mean, I wonder if that's because we don't
Val.
see Vanilla Yujing ever as
Well,
well.
partly, but
That's
when
my
you
hot
do
take.
see Vanilla Eugene, what do you see? You
Lots
see
of
the
cam
Yanho?
markers usually.
Exactly. Well, what do you and what's that specific HMG gunfighter camera marker that starts in their deployment zone in Hidden State that you see a lot?
There's
Well,
a
I don't.
Spitfire now, isn't he?
The
No. That's
the
the
hack
hack tau.
tau.
Yep.
Alright.
So anyway, so why did I choose the Yanho? One of the coolest models CB have ever made, by the way.
True.
What makes him unique? He's the only heavy infantry with tag weapons. There's
Yeah.
no profile in the game that has tag weapons on a heavy infantry profile.
That's true.
which is really cool.
True? Is it true?
I think so.
I think it's the only one with a multi, at least the multi HMG outside of the tag. I think it's the only one.
Okay.
And hyper
Okay.
magnetic.
I'll pay that one.
Now, what is it competing with? What's its role in the faction? I guess. So I'm taking a leaf out of Zephyr's book, and I'm trying to. I'm going to use the terminology of primary gunfighter. So the Yanhao with a hypermagnetic cannon should be able to win a firefight against almost anything in the game.
So what? Do you want to just for our listeners out there, just kind of just give us an idea of what it is and what it does?
Ah, right, yeah. So it's a heavy infantry. It is 2 wounds. It's armor 5, BTS 3. It's BS 14 with a hypermagnetic cannon. It's 13, Wilp 13. Bioimmunity and shock immunity. So bioimmunity is really good. Obviously, that helps it stay use its BTS and armor for the whatever purpose it wants. It's got shock immunity, so if you get unlucky, it's got 2 wounds. It's probably going to drop down to unconscious, so there's capacity to revive it. Now, its purpose in the list, or its role is to give you a gun that can win a firefight against almost anything in the game, and therefore allow your faction, the rest of your army, to advance. So it's there to win the fight. And you only pay 48 points and 1.5 of SWC for this privilege. Often, if you want a primary gunfighter, if you want a gunfighter of this caliber, you're looking at tags or elite heavy infantry, such as the Hacktow or the Aquila or the Swiss or the Shen, which are all in the 50 point bracket and above.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, this weapon, the gun it's carrying, can kill anything. It's lethal. It can shred tags. If it hits medium, light, or heavy infantry, it's going to shred them as well because it's double action uh, AP. So
Not
it's
double
brutal.
action. Not double action
Not double
AP.
action. Sorry, it's AP. Sorry, it's AP.
Both weapons have AP or shock in the active.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. So, and furthermore, now, how does it fit into the list? You can also run it like a tag where you run in group 2. You can also run as a lieutenant profile and run a chain of command, especially in Invisible Army. There's a lot of chain of command options. You can run in group 2 as your lieutenant, using the smaller pool to firefight, and then preserving the first pool to do most of your work. So that's one way you can run it. Chain of command definitely helps, and Invincible Army. The other synergy I see it for it in Invincible Army is reduces your dependency or reduces your susceptibility to try build out a full link team of heavy infantry. Because when you build a full link team of heavy infantry in Invincible Army, you spend all your points, you've got nothing, right? You all of a sudden you've got no variety in your army. So this allows you to have maybe a Harris and then a couple of specialists, a couple of Zencha or something like that, because you're saving quite a lot of money or quite a lot of points on that primary gunfighter.
Money. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and finally, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's the selling points. What do you guys think so far? And then what do you guys think he competes with?
First of all, I just want to quickly get your thoughts on: are we talking about this unit in vanilla or in Invincibles?
Well, Invincibles or Vanilla. Invincibles, if it's
Does it
fi-
change? Does it change much between the two?
I think, yeah, I think Invincibles
Because
it
he can
fits a little
link
bit better.
obviously in Invincibles, right?
Not you don't need to link with the hypermagnetic.
You don't need to link. Yeah, you
You
can't
don't
link with
need
that
to.
one. You can only link with the
It's only the
Yeah,
FTO.
exactly.
the
Yeah.
FTO. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
in vanilla Yuching,
Hmm?
what's you say he's competing with like the likes of the Hacktow and
Yeah, so
the
in Vanilla Jing, he's competing with Hacktow. He's competing with yeah, the Hacktow is the real one in the main one that he competes with in Vanilla
and
Jing.
why do you think people take the Hacktow over this guy?
Because they've got the marker state and they've got the mimetism mod, and the same what's his name?
Same armor,
BS.
same BS.
I think it's got NCO as well, isn't it, or something?
Yeah, potentially.
It does, yes, it does.
Yeah, okay.
That's right.
But whereas this thing
But
is more like
admittedly, what Val was saying, it won't matter because if you take the lieutenant option on the Yan Hao, you're using the thing
Channel
anyway.
order.
But then you're having to invest in chain of command.
which is pretty easy in
Is it?
Eugene, to be honest. Yeah,
It
it
is,
actually
yeah.
isn't that
What are
bad.
your examples?
What's his name? I think there
Your
was
old fucking Tarja's mate.
no. There's
No,
at least
Tarja's friend. Him.
there's
Remember?
three. There's Lei Gong.
Yeah. So that's
There's
what I said.
Tai
That's
Sheng.
Tarja's mate.
Yeah,
That's the one who was like,
Taj's favorite model,
yeah.
favorite profile. He's a left counter. Yeah. So Lei Gong. Then there's
Tai Sheng,
Tai Sheng.
who's fucking too
There's the
expensive. You wouldn't take her anyway.
Hey Dao, chain of command.
You're a
And the
rock
thing
star.
is, and then there's one more as well.
Is there a Hey
Imperial
Dao chain of
Pheasant.
command?
There is.
Is there a Hey Dao
So
chain of
you've
command?
got
No, there's not.
so what you've got the Imperial Pheasants, so pheasant rank. You've got Adil, Ligong, Taishan, and John Hawk.
John Hawkwood, right? Okay.
Oh, you don't get the
So
Hey Dao chain of command in vanilla. You only get it in Invincible Army.
Okay.
um,
Sure. I didn't
and
know
Yeah,
that.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
looking at from here, your cheapest chain of command is I think 32.
Yeah.
Oh no,
27,
sorry.
20.
So
No,
I think
30. Yeah, 27.
yeah.
25.
So anyway, without discussing specific points, because who cares? Is the point I'm getting at is if you take this guy as your LT, which is what you're advocating for, or you're at least saying, hey, look, he can be your LT, then you have to invest in another 30 point, probably more, to get yourself a chain of command model.
Then don't take the LT and take the hypermagnetic cannon and have an attack piece that can win any firefight and enable your list.
But my counter to that point then is then take the Hack Tau and have the Dao Ying LT plus one order.
Then you're paying more points for the
Yeah.
Buffet, so the Hack Tau, the Dao Ying,
Yeah.
and you also don't have a gun to fight tags or armor
So
with.
I think so. What? So yeah. So let me just thread this needle now. So the problem. So this is just going back to like not. I'm not saying this is a reason not to take them. I'm just saying this is the reason why people maybe aren't taking it is because Yujing has it leans quite heavily into its NCOs. Right. There's a lot of NCO profiles in Yujing, Cockrum, Taisheng, the Hack Tau we just talked about. There's another one I'm sure of somewhere. I can't remember exactly. Then you've got models which are very efficient, like the Shang-Chi, who has its own attack awareness order. So there isn't always a reliance to take something that is a LT that's an active turn gunfire because you have the incredibly cheap and marker state LT in the Dao Ying, which allows you then to get two orders to put onto something like crit or the Hack Tau. Now, that's like groupthink. That's known knowledge, right?
That's
So what we're
one way
looking
to build, yeah.
exactly, but what we're looking at now is like going, hey, have you considered taking the Yan Huo instead? It will mean that you will have to have a chain of command model, but there are useful chain of command models. They're just 30 odd points, like you said, the pheasant,
He's very
and
good with the matchup.
which is actually quite good. Which is actually quite good. So I guess that's just what I'm just trying to like I guess let people know is like maybe that's why he is not being taken as the LT.
Yeah.
And the reason why then he might not be taken as the non-LT is because there's such good NCO models in the faction that are also there's also a gunfighter option.
We're not trying to make a case of how you build around him. I'm just trying to make a
Yeah.
case to show his strengths in contrast, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
his
no,
strength,
I think
yeah.
you have to, you have to include why you would build around him because because you have to include that in the conversation. You can't just be like, hey, this guy's good, take him, but people were like, yeah, but then I get this synergy going this way. Right, you have to look at what the current synergies are in the faction, and how does he synergize? And the way that I would say he synergizes is he's a tag that's like 20 to 30 points cheaper. Right?
Well,
he gives you tag
cheapest
output for cheaper.
Yeah, he's the cheapest access you have to a very powerful weapon. And when we were talking about chain of command, and we said like Tai Shen is expensive, but don't forget that Tai Shen is also NCO, so you can use it, or if you can't use it, chain of command, which is true. She's also a forward observer and a character. So if you play anything with any like large amounts of classifieds, she can do everything.
She's great.
Ensure that your Yan Hao, if he dies, you don't go into loss of lieutenant. And she's pure for the case of like if you make an Invincibles team. So the Yan, because I was just taking a look, the Hack Tao Dao Ying is like 40 more points than a Yan Hao and Haidao.
Oh, really?
Oh, and Invincibles. Okay, yeah.
In Invincibles, yes, in Invincibles.
Oh, wow.
So the Yan Hao is a cheap way of getting access to a very powerful weapon with an order that you're not afraid to use.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah. Ideally, we can build out a little bit on how to build around him to a degree. But I think the main thing I'm trying to do, at least, is trying to just show his strengths, and then people can be like, you know what, that might be missing from my list. Let's try the Yan Hao in and see how he goes.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no,
that's my first.
I think you are spot on, because he does give you this pretty much unrivaled ability in the active turn, for his point cost. Like, you can get better gunfighters for more points, and you can in Invincibles you can build out a better link team, for more points. But just for his cheapness, I think it is important. And then just going back to the NCO thing. Like I say, the NCO is a selling point of Yu Jing, but it's also a bit of a trap, because when you start relying on NCO, then you start looking at profiles that have NCO, and then you start getting kind of tunnel vision, because you start looking at going, oh well, I've got this Dao Ying with +1 order, so I better find the profiles that give me NCO.
Exactly.
And then you start looking at all these profiles that have NCO, and then you miss out on the profiles that don't, like the Yan Ho. So no, I think you're right. I was more just sort of thinking from the point of view of a salty Yu Jing player and going, no, I want to play my fucking Hack Tao. Fuck you, value wrong.
It should also be pointed out that I know you're talking about the lieutenant option, but if you do take the FTO option, it has probably one of the cheapest wild cards in the entire game in the 12-point Pangling FTOs.
Yeah, right.
That can defend it pretty well, because they do have light shotguns.
There you go. So you actually push in the middle with it, potentially, and then have a repeater presence / shotgun presence, and then somebody else, an engineer or something.
Don't mind it. Okay, so let's move on. So number 2 for me, we are on to
I like this one.
The Malignos. Specifically, ladies and gentlemen, the Malignos multi-sniper. Because we all know how good a Malignos is. The Malignos Killer Hacker is amazing. I thought about briefly talking about the Malignos monofilament mines, but no, I'm not even going to bother.
Gotta push.
Like, I really want the monofilament mines to work. Oh, fuck, it's so bad. But we're going to be talking about the Malignos multi-sniper. And this one will, my chat about this one will be the same for Shaz as it will be for Combined Army. But anyway, so we'll talk about the profile quickly. It is a BS12, Whip 14, Armor 1, 1 wound, skirmisher with camouflage, hidden deployment, infiltration, mimetism -6, regen, the Shaz Vasti rule, stealth, surprise attack, and terrain total. And then the sniper rifle is a 1.5 SWC, 35-point model. Now, why am I talking about it? Well, we're talking about it because the Noctifer exists. Because the Noctifer, for 3 points less, you get a dogged missile launcher. Which is, it's a fair point, right? The Noctifer is feared throughout the lands for a very good reason, because it's a hidden deployment missile launcher that's dogged. And it's a pain in the ass, right? But the reason why I want to say that you should be considering the Malignos multi-sniper over something like the Noctifer, my reasons are as follows. 1, multi-sniper is a better range band than a missile launcher. I can't tell you how many times I've run a Noctifer and gone, I reveal.
42 inches.
I reveal I'm inside 24.
24 is
Yeah.
a hard one.
Fuck.
That's
Yeah,
a bad one.
24.
I'm on 9s and I can't hit for shit. That is one thing. Number 2 is the infiltration on the Malignos. Now, you might be thinking, well, why infiltration if you're using the sniper rifle? Great question. It's obviously something that comes up in a lot of other profiles that are very similar. Infiltration, good for a couple of reasons. One, it can potentially get you angles on something that you couldn't get if you were stuck in your ZZ. It also gives your opponent more places to think about where something might be coming from. Or sorry, not more places. You have more places to think about where to put it. Whereas your opponent, if your opponent's expecting a Noctifer, they'll be looking at buildings only inside your DZ and going, haha, I'm safe here, and then realizing there's a building just outside the DZ that can get a shot. So that's another reason.
I'll mention just quickly on that because with a similar profile, I did something. I did something similar where the infiltration. What it allows you to do is to fire back into your back at your deployment zone. So we were talking about not going past half in missions where your opponent will want to go past half towards your deployment zone. Having something that's halfway up on the wrong side on the opposite side of the table that your opponent now has no recourse to answer to because you're getting shot in the back can derail people's plans completely.
Absolutely,
I used it to get rid of a Dral in the old rules where they were just impossible to get rid of.
Yeah, I will say I haven't really ever been able to do that, but it's certainly something to consider. The other reason why I think infiltration is really important on a Malignos is specifically in zone control missions. So if you are going into a tournament that has frontline, supremacy, quadrant control, for example, you now have a model, a 35-point model that starts outside of your DZ and is already scoring for you, whereas that's not something you can do with a Noctifer. So with those things, the other thing is regen, which is situationally better than dogged, but it works different because there is a difference. There is a different use case for the Noctifer over something like the Malignos. The Noctifer, for example, he's there just to eat up orders. He's there to reveal, fire a shot. Maybe he misses and he goes dogged, but then you have to deal with him again because he's dogged, and you have to clear. You have to walk into the space. The Malignos, on the other hand, he will do the same thing. He will reveal. He might hit. He might miss. He might go down. He might just, because of his mimetism -6, he might only take 1 wound and go unconscious. At which point, that's when regen becomes very handy. For the reason that at the end of the states phase, which is at the end of a player turn, you get to potentially roll him to get back up. So on a 12 or less, this model will get back up and stand right back where it was again, ready to be a pain in the ass again. So if it's in your turn, you get that order back. If it's in your opponent's turn, they have to now deal with it again. But then you get that. What you also get from having regen over something like dogged is, again, in zone control missions, if he goes down on a rooftop, you're just like, I don't need to regen him. I'll just leave him there.
That's what I was. What I was thinking when you started talking about it. Is he really makes use of that Shazvasti rule in zone control?
In zone control missions,
you can be like, especially if he's in a zone that you've dominated. You're like, I'll see if he gets back up. Right, and I'll see if he can be a pest in my last turn or something like that.
Yeah. Or if it's a zone you're dominating, you need him to stay there. You just don't roll it, and you're like, yep.
Just don't roll him. Leave him unconscious. Yeah. Whereas what happens with the Noctifer is he will be either alive or he'll be dead. The Malignos will be alive or dead, but also sometimes unconscious. You never see it's very rare that you ever see an unconscious Noctifer. Right, they just don't exist. They're either alive, they're either off the table or they're on the table. Like they're not. there's no in between with those.
There's no.
I'll point out just one other thing about the Malignos, and this is I think something that people miss a lot. Is he is a veteran troop, so he can do. I think he can do the one where on their half of the table do a whip roll.
Then undermine. Very nice.
Yep,
I think there's a classified that needs a veteran to do a whip check in their half.
Net undermine.
And then Malignos can do that.
Absolutely. So
Right.
I was using the Malignos a fair bit when I was running Shaz. I dropped it, I've dropped the Noctifer in favor of this guy because of the aforementioned reasons, but also the fact that a multi-sniper rifle can be used in the active turn.
That's right. That was that's
Yeah.
huge.
Now the
Double,
missile launcher can arguably as well, but when you've got 2 dice versus 1 dice, the 2 dice is just better, right?
way
It's
better.
gonna 2 dice double action, hitting on 12s or 15s if it's out of cover is really useful, and I've been able to use that to quite good effect when people aren't expecting to see a Malignos just moving around in the active turn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Noctifier, you almost feel like that surprise attack that it has is
Is
Really
useless.
wasted.
It doesn't get used very often. Yeah. So
Yeah.
for 3 more so folks out there who maybe have 3 points left over in their combined army list or their Shaz list and realize that they don't have access to war cores, just consider those spending those 3 points on a Malignos multi-sniper
Yes.
today, and
It's a good promotion.
reap the benefits of having a model that can actually hit the broadside of a fucking barn. So
That's right.
yeah, that's
No.
my shout out on Malignos. Try them out. Multi sniper. Chef's kiss.
I just also want to highlight this episode 90, where Zephyr got a rule wrong. So in the chat, I just want people to remember, because he's obviously been reading a lot. He's very smart. He's absorbing the game. But I just want it to be stated on record that he got a rules wrong. He doesn't even know the range bands of a missile launcher. So anyway, it's all right. It's a learning curve for all of us.
Okay. All
So
right.
that's beautiful. No, I fully support your what's his name, your thoughts behind the Maligned Sniper. I think he's awesome. You get different angles, and you can still pop him in arrow, but from a different angle where they're just not expecting it,
Yeah.
like they would be from an Octafire.
And I think the reason why I wanted to talk about this unit is because it. In other armies there are similar units, right? There's specters, there's crocmen, there's tuaregs, and all that sort of jazz, right? But there's no other profile in the game that kind of it competes very hard with it because the Noctifer exists, right?
Yes.
You just don't people just don't consider it because they're like, well, Noctifer, insert that. It's a surprise air, it's a surprise missile launcher. Who doesn't like that? But the Malignos does very similar things, but also does more. So that's why I want to talk about
At
it.
the end of
All
the
right.
day, what you're trying to stop is like the stopping power of a sniper and a missile launcher. Like the difference is very few models in the game can survive both. Can survive one over the other comfortably. Like the sniper rifle is stopping most things in the game.
The missile launcher is by far more deadly to
Yes.
a larger variety of things. But if you're a 1-wound model, getting hit by 2 damage, 15 hit shots is still probably going to put you down
Right.
too, compared to a missile launcher.
I think what we're finding with a couple of these is that you're getting profiles that like compete with the single use case model.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And they have like a little bit of a side use that really can make them quite useful.
Oh, okay. Before we move on, Zephyr did have a question about: do you see the loss of ability against fire teams as significant? No, because not many people are dumb enough to walk a fire team out against a Shaz or a combined army player.
And
it really hasn't come up. Like I can't think of a single game the last time a Noctiver managed to splash damage something else, unless it was something like insignificant, like a mine. It's very it doesn't happen very often. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying that if you're dumb if you walk a fire team out in front of a Noctiver, because I've done it. Like we've all done it.
Yeah.
We've all
just
done
an
it. But it's just the
I would also argue that when I was talking about being able to shoot like from like on angles from like behind, kind of, is that the Malignos has a different way of dealing with fire teams in that it can shoot the non-fire team leader. If you're behind a fire team and they go, this is my fire team leader, and they're moving this way, you go, okay, I'm going to shoot the guy that's not the fire team leader. I'm going to start picking you apart that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That can definitely work. All right, so move on to the next one. So we're back to Jacob.
Yeah, well, speaking of side use cases, the Shikami.
This is gonna be a hard one. This is gonna be tough.
Shut up.
Why do you choose the fucking hardest ones?
This is good. This is good. I like it.
So I'm going to preface this by saying that in JSA, the Shikami are my favorite models. They are by far the best samurai
Looking.
warrior monk cross things in JSA.
Very cool.
But they're not. You don't see these guys very often. I'm actually going to start with why you don't see them very often and try and dig my way out of the hole that I've dug myself.
Because they're in one
We'll be
faction
very
in the
quiet.
entire game. Right.
Be very quiet.
Well, yeah. That makes it technically easier to gather data on why. Firstly, both profiles are very expensive, right? 45 points, 48 points, in a sectorial that probably struggles, in all honesty, with both SWC and points. They are difficult to use.
Mm-hmm.
They're difficult to fit into an army because you want to take those Domarus. And you don't really want to take the Keisatsu fire teams. And once you start taking the Domarus and you start buffing them up and getting them weapons and all that sort of thing, you start the cost starts to spiral out of control, and it gets hard to pull it back to fit in a Shikami. Secondly, they've actually probably one of the few units that going from N3 to N4 where they've got a downgrade with the disappearance of Nimbus grenades. For anyone who don't know what Nimbus grenades used to do, they used to put down a zone of -1 burst.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are.
Right.
They're real tricky. That was such an interesting time when we had Nimbus grenades.
Yeah,
It was.
they also can only duos in a faction that I would probably describe as like a fire team faction, being one of the NA2s. They can only really duo, mainly duo with themselves. You could look at putting the fire teams with them, but if you do put the wild cards with them, can they duo? I thought they could.
They can duo on Harris in a GAC fire team. Yes.
Harris as well.
Yep.
Oh, they can Harris.
They can Harris.
Well, maybe you could figure something out with that.
Yeah.
But yes, the problem is that most things can't keep up with the Shikamis, which is one of the good things. The other thing is that they do very much compete with. They very much compete with Oniwaban. Oniwaban are same sort of mimetism, sort of the same sort of use case. Arguably.
What is their use case? What is a Shikami used for?
I will get to it.
Okay.
And the last thing is, and this is probably the main weakness of them, is their weapon profiles. They have a contender, a flashpoint, or a combi rifle. So they don't have lots of damage.
Assault pistol. Assault pistol. Don't forget the assault pistol.
Yes, sorry, the assault pistol.
On the only on the contender though.
Yeah, only on the contender. So, and then you've got a combi rifle. So you're not getting a huge amount of damage out of any of them. The DA is nice in the contender, but only burst 1. Combi rifle is obviously just a combi rifle. Really, the assault pistol, as far as gunfighting, is where it's at. Now, these guys, the use case is, I would say they're almost somewhat similar to the. Sorry, what was the first one you covered, Kev?
The Nahab, yeah.
Yeah, they are. They are quick. They are 6'2" with super jump and
climbing
plus, right? And forward deployment 4, plus dodge plus 2 inches. On Fizz 14. So arguably you could, every time you move a Shikami, arguably you are faster if you dodge at the end of every order.
They cartwheel they back they somersault at the end of every just for the data too. It's so cool. Okay, go on.
Stealth does help. Stealth also helps them walk around and means that they're not going to get hacked.
Because they are hackable. They are 2 wound heavy infantry.
Yes, so they are hackable, but stealth means that unless the hacker can see them, they're more than likely not going to end up getting hacked.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they are in a faction that can support them really well with smoke grenade launchers. So the Karoshi Rider, who's relatively cheap, and Yojimbo.
Yojimbo, yeah.
Right.
Yojimbo,
Both really good at putting down, especially the Kuroshi Rider. If you put her in a Harris, she does get 2 smoke grenade launches.
Yeah, but they get
So-
impetuous, right?
So,
they're-
but like just going back to like what their purpose is. Like, what is their
Yeah.
purpose?
So I see 2 purposes for these guys. The first one is, but most of it comes from missions where you want to be in the center.
Okay.
Apparently, this is the thing for what I'm going for with these first 2 units. Is if you are going first, right? Well, you probably take them more if you're going second. They are a serious threat in the midfield. If your opponent comes up and has to deal with a Shikami, I would say they're deadly up close. Right. Also, because they're so quick, you can reposition them to do whatever they need to do, press a button or kill something pretty easily with support from smoke that's relatively, which is pretty readily available. They're pretty good at being able to actually get around.
And 6-inch cautious move as well.
Yes,
Have a 6-inch
but
cautious move, right?
One of the great things I reckon is their extra dodge and good CC means that they can go up to a corner, dodge around the corner, right, and then the next turn go into CC. And that's where their mimetism -6 comes in, where you've got martial arts, which is -3, mimetism, which is -6. You're getting shot at -9s, right? You know, ignoring everything else. Where you're CCing on 26.
And the other thing is, even if they have to engage something with and something sees them do it, as long as it has a combi rifle or something that can only do 1 wound, they can risk it. A Mim 6, armor 3, 2 wounds, they can risk getting shot at.
And that's one thing I think with the Shikami you've got to do is I think unfortunately for a lot of the time with the Shikami you got to be brave.
Yeah,
would you try to alpha with this thing?
I think you set up as a threat if they don't deal with it.
Because
they've got potential, right?
Yeah, if the situation presents itself, I would say if you see a tag, or some like really high value unit, I could see these guys almost filling the role of like a JSA dog warrior, kind of.
Right,
Whereas they go up to a really good gunfighter, and you might take the entire, the entire order of that of the Shikami's group. But even if you don't kill them, you're in close combat with this good gunfighter, and you've stopped it from shooting. Right. More importantly, if someone's trying to get the Shikami off and doesn't have, like, let's say you're playing an army that doesn't have the answer to close combat, it's -12 to shoot.
So annoying.
Right. So you're more than likely the only way you're getting the Shikami off is when it kills its thing.
Yep.
And then you get a chance.
But okay.
Sorry, go on. Yeah.
No, okay.
No, go on.
I was going to say, so you mentioned what it's competing with earlier, which was one of them was the Oniwaban or Kitsune, for example, right? Because they're similar point cost. Now, why would I take a Shikami over an Oniwaban, for example?
I think the biggest thing for taking the Shikami is its specialist operative.
Right. So that's a good thing you've hit on there. It's a specialist. So it's a bit of a toolbox in that it can fight. It can fight because it's got a combi rifle and mimetism -6, so it's at least decent.
Yeah.
It's up the table. It can get into range. It can also fight in close combat. It can deal with problems because it's got climbing plus and super jump, and it can get to the buttons it needs to get to and push them. Whereas only Waban can't do all those things.
Yeah, and talking about competing with the Oniwaban, they're both elite troops, so they can still do those classifieds as well.
Can I make mention as well? There's one thing the Shikami. So the Shikami's movement ability is stealth. Means it can always get the drop in active turn.
Yeah,
and its
unless you get
mobility
6th Sense.
means. But yeah, you're in the active turn. You just wouldn't go near 6th Sense. 6th Sense isn't like secret. But yeah, generally speaking, you can always get the drop. And in the reactive, because of your climbing skills, you can leverage yourself on a vantage point where you can really limit who can engage you. And obviously, your biggest weakness is the fact that a hacker can just run up to you
Yeah.
below the building that you're hiding on and start hacking you. But here comes the next layer. You can use this as bait. How many hidden deployment models do you have in JSA? Be it,
Okay, like a ninja or something like that. Yeah.
a 26-point ninja. Run your hacker to the bottom of the building and start playing with your laptop. See what happens. See if somebody doesn't dodge into you.
Or better yet, the Ryukin 9,
You
which
can
is I
nine.
think
That's
I
right.
think it's a cheaper, but they're a bit better. But yeah, the main thing is this guy's not an AOE piece. He's only an
No.
active turn piece.
An active
I
turn.
think he's great for if you need to have something really dangerous running across the middle of the
Yeah. The-
middle of the zone. The other thing I should mention is while JSAs are really good, like as far as their CC stats and amount of martial arts go, they're actually pretty. In terms of their weapons, they're actually pretty poor, right? If you take a
Yeah.
look at the Damari, most of them are EM weapons. Not saying there's anything wrong with EM weapons,
EM's
but
the
you're
best
not
weapon
going
in the game. So, okay.
to. Well, okay, as far as like trying to kill something.
EM's the best weapon in the game.
Well, it doesn't. Does
It
it?
does
EM?
it does damage. Yes.
No, I know that. I'm saying, does EM count towards decap?
What do you mean?
Yeah, because it does
Does it count
damage. Yeah,
towards
It does
death? No,
damage. It takes
yeah,
wounds off you, so it
takes
counts toward
wounds, yeah,
decap.
Yeah, but it's
I-
not. It's not APDA.
yeah.
It is
It's not
APDA. EM is APDA on your BTS.
But
yes.
doesn't but the EM, but the EM doesn't kill you. It only
It, do-
isolates you.
it
does
does.
damage as well.
EM
It does
CC weapon.
damage as
Okay,
well.
let me just break this down for you. EM CC weapon
Yeah.
is essentially an APDA weapon against your BTS that also isolates and immobilizes you if you are heavy infantry. It is
Wait, so
the best weapon in the
does
game.
it doesn't do one EM and one normal hit?
No. You just
Fuck.
I roll to hit you. You take two BTS saves at half your BTS, and whatever you fail, you lose a wound, and then you're isolated. And if you're heavy infantry, you're also immobilized. So fuck you. Yes, EM is the best weapon in the
Well,
game.
I guess I
AP
will have to.
APDA isn't it? But APDA isn't very far from EM either. Like
It's not.
APDA will
It's
kill,
very close.
it'll
You just don't get the
shred
isolate on
through
top of
shit.
it. Yes,
I
no,
mean,
absolutely.
I
it'll
suppose
shred.
for an armor poor army, it's BTS high army. It could be argued
It-
be better, but to be honest, if you're
Yeah.
armor poor, the EM's going to do
Yeah, no,
probably just
it's
as well anyway.
EM weapons became fucked up the
Yeah,
butt in
definitely.
N4, and CB
just
haven't
made
thought
it
to
bad.
haven't thought to correct it yet. So we're just gonna
Yeah.
keep doing it.
I'm gonna
that
put
way.
out there. I think the Shikami is the hardest model to use in the game.
Well, what something I was going to say on that is what makes it hard is JSA hasn't got an awful lot of support around it to make that Shikami work. It has no disposable pieces that you can just like sacrifice. Like when I was talking about talking about the Nahab is vulnerable to being hacked or vulnerable to being attacked by on if I go second. But I've got a Beast Hunter or you've got a Libertos or something like that in to insulate it. The Shikami's got nothing. It's got nothing that can insulate it
Yeah.
unless it's another
You can-
30-point model.
Well, you can run two 26-point ninjas to and there's nothing wrong with them.
It's hardly cheap insulation. That's
Yeah.
premium speed bumps to protect a
26
45-point model.
Yeah.
That's premium.
Yeah, potentially.
Like it's hard, man. It's
Admittedly,
difficult.
Admittedly, I think JSA have always been an army where you have to really know how to break out of your You have to break out of your deployment zone. I think the Shikami is a decent model for that sort of thing with the mimetism -6, the speed and all that sort of thing. But yes, you are correct. Other than the smoke, which has to come from another model. Again, like I said, the Shikami is a model to be used is not to be used by the faint of heart. You have to put him in danger. You have to hope to dodge. You have to be clever with him. I think the main thing is that he's a toolbox that can killing melee.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
JSA is
pretty much it.
likely. JSA is one of the hardest factions to use, and Shikam is probably the hardest model in the game to use for
Yeah.
me.
But
That's my hot
looks-
take.
It
But
is.
yeah,
It is. It is
Amazing.
hard. It is
It's
hard.
amazing.
But we
amazing.
support anyone who wants to use it. All right. So
Absolutely.
on to the next one. So this one, everyone's gonna go, "What the absolute fuck? This has to be a joke, right? This is a joke."
Okay,
Val, is this
here
a
we go.
joke?
No, this is not a joke. Have you put up on the screen yet? Hold on,
Yes,
let
it's
me
on the
check
screen. It's on the
Ah,
screen.
it's on the screen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I present you the Moran. Oh, but the Moran's not maligned. I mean the Moran camouflaged is what I mean. So
Okay, here we go.
why would you ever? So everyone knows the Moran, and in the Moran comes with a repeater. It comes with a crazy koala. It comes with decharges. It comes with infiltration. It sits on a roof and doesn't do anything all game. Right, really, really useful. Now, the Moran. Now, if you were to ever look at the Moran camouflaged version, and if you just put your two fat fingers over the profiles above it, just look at it in isolation, be like, hey, that's a really good profile. The reason no one sees any value or even looks at that profile twice is because of the two above. Now, how do they differ, and what is the value of the Moran with camouflage? What I'm going to make an argument for is it is very much akin to the Heckler. The Heckler with the fast panda, which is obviously a very used and common profile, where the strength of the Heckler, the fast panda, is the fact you almost can't stop it. It's going to get to you and it's going to deploy its fast panda in range of one of your what's his name? One of your valuable pieces, be it but unlike the Heckler, obviously you can't hack through the Crazy Koala. So what does the Crazy Koala do? Crazy Koala is an absolute nightmare for an ARO link team. So if opponent has an ARO link team and you move, and deploy the Crazy Koala within 8 inches of them, then you engage that link team, the
Well,
whole link team activates.
let's just assume though that you're only getting one move out of this before
You're
you
getting
die.
one move.
Yeah,
You're getting move.
yeah, and then move deploy. So that's how many?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So how many inches is that? That's 8, 12 plus. That's
Get out.
20. That's 20 inches max.
Yeah, 20 inches.
Just from our listeners out there who are wondering how to use it, can you just explain why you would like just the it's like it's got infiltration is what I'm trying to say because you didn't talk about
Yeah,
the
right.
profile. Because everyone knows
Okay,
everyone knows what a Moran is, but just for those
Right.
people who don't know what Moran is, would you mind just explaining that to people?
It's 4/4, S12, Phys 11, Whip 13, Armor 0, BTS 0. It has Courage, Forward Observer, Infiltration, Mimetism 3, Mind Layer, Stealth, Terrain total. In the camouflage profile, it's got camouflage 1 use. It's got surprise attack -3. Then it's got a combi rifle, flash pulse, decharge, crazy koala, pistol, and normal close combat weapon. Or you can take the other profile with a boarding shotgun. But
Cool.
other than that, they're
Yeah.
both 18 points, 0.5 SWC.
So the point of it is it sits in the midfield. It sits in the midfield, being another camo marker. Yeah.
Exactly right. So it's but the thing is with infiltration, with the fact that you can move, and the worst thing they can do to you is discover. Then you can move another 4 inches and then throw out crazy koala. It means that your threat range is effectively 12 plus 8, 20 inches. So and obviously if you're starting on the 24-inch line, table's 48 inches. I don't have to do the math. So people,
Yeah,
you're not
we
stupid.
just said it can get 20 inches up the board before it gets shot and dies. Yes.
Exactly right. But so that's worst case scenario. Now, what's the play here, right? So, like I said, you get 20. You throw your crazy koala.
Oh,
You
sorry.
you throw
Yeah,
your crazy.
sorry. I don't mean it gets 20 inches. I mean the crazy koala can be 20. Yes.
Yeah. Let me just finish the point.
Yep.
So effectively, you can get the crazy koala within a link team. Then when you engage their link team, if the link team
What are you engaging the link team with? Just curiosity.
with another piece, right? So
What kind of piece? Just give me an example.
I don't know, any nomad piece, like Crazy Borax, like who cares?
I mean,
I'm trying to just show that.
it matters though. It matters because you could be saying, are you engaging it with the Moran? Are you engaging it with the
No,
tag? Or whatever you're engaging it
you
with? Yeah.
you're engaging with another gunfighter, right?
Yes.
The
Okay.
main point is it's giving you an ability to give the opponent a really hard choice for their link team. Because if they shoot back with the pace that you're shooting, you can deploy the Crazy Koala on any one of the link members. So if their lieutenant is in the link, if a one wound model is in the link, if it's a link made of line troops, or if the main gunfighter that you're trying to take out is one wound, you can force them to take an armor save effectively with shock.
Yep.
So what this means for the link team is it either breaks and therefore the model you're fighting with your gunfighter has worse odds and is not getting link team bonuses, or they stay as a link and you get a free Crazy Koala on one of them. I think there's value there in terms of taking on link teams, which isn't
Absolutely.
quite being utilized. Now, of course, you could say, "Hey, why don't we just run a heckler, throw a linked, throw the fast panda, and then spotlight and nuke them?" Fair enough. That is an alternative, and that's probably why you're not seeing the crazy this profile used very much. Now, that's a really good use against link teams. Now, the other thing this gives you is camouflage marker, like you said. So just another camouflage in your midfield, so they don't actually know what's what.
I mean, unless you
Further,
deploy the Crazy Koala.
that's true, actually. Yeah, unless you deploy the crazy file. Now, as an ARO piece, it has a flash pulse. So having camouflage, mimetism, and flash pulse for 18 points is very, very strong.
Yeah.
I've been using Strelocks as Forward Observe AROs to slow down attack pieces, and I've used Trinitarians with military orders in the past. And Flash Pulse in ARO coming out of camo is very strong because they're often not. That's probably often they're not fighting you; they're fighting something else, and then you're coming out to kind of split their decision or try to split their burst or get a free shot on them and stop their attack run. So that's kind of nice. The other thing it allows you to do with the crazy koalas is to fork people's arrows. So once you get into the midfield turn 2 and they have some models in the midfield, you can use your pitches to set up an arrow presence, repeater presence. And then if you have to hack anyone, you can add the Moran, you can spend an order on the Moran, throw out a crazy koala, and then hack their hackers, forcing them really bad decisions. They either face to face against the hack or they dodge against the crazy koala.
Well,
So it's
except
like
that's already a tactic that you can do with the 17-point version, and with less orders because you
that's
don't have
true.
to throw a picture at first.
That's true. That's true. Actually, that's absolutely right because yeah, you've got the repeater presence, but they have to walk into your repeater presence. But yeah, so and the other thing with Morans is the fact with the big value of the Moran having the repeater is that you have a repeater net turn 0, right? And that's good if you're going first, but often, from what I understand, if a lot of nomad lists like to go first, right? So having that having the repeater net turn 0 isn't as important because you've got so many pitches, you can set it up anyway the way you want it.
Hmm.
That's just another thought, I guess, that's added. And finally, having camo marker, if you didn't need to use it as a flash pulse or you didn't need to run it across the board to throw a crazy koala and push buttons, you've got a marker state to push buttons turn 2 and 3 in a pinch.
It's
So
and it's often why I don't see Morans being like I said, Morans don't get used when they're on the table as a repeater, but they're a fucking Whip 13 specialist. So
yeah,
you know,
absolutely, yeah.
if you've got the camouflage, you can now get that model to that button or use that model to put a D charge for a classified or whatever it is. There is a lot of utility to be used in the camouflage profile. And like you say, if you don't deploy them with the crazy qual at the start, then your opponent will be like, oh, where's your Morans? Oh, wait, did you not take Morans? Oh wait, are they under the camo markers? Oh, which ones? Wait, where's the crazy
Mm,
koalas? I'm confused. Like that, I
yeah.
can just like
And you
people
can
will be
hide
like,
your hecklers
what's
as
going?
well.
Yeah, I
And
mean, to be
you can
fair though,
hide your hecklers, you
to
can
be
hide anything, yeah.
fair though,
And
the hecklers are only
I
forward
read
deployment plus 4 inches, so you can
Ah, it's only
probably
4
figure
inches, is
out.
it?
Yeah, heckler. Well, I'm pretty sure only
Oh,
+4 for a heckler, and
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure they're pretty easy to tell. If well, not
Yeah,
always
true.
easy, but they can be easy.
4 plus
they
4.
they
Yeah,
also I also see them
yeah,
being
+4 on the heckler.
one of the one of the few camo markers that you might reveal to put down the crazy koala. So if you
Yep.
ever have the opportunity where you could really punish your opponent for not discovering you. You pop down the crazy koala, or if they come up to look at you, go, "Hey, do you want to reveal yourself?" You go, "Yeah, sure, crazy koala."
Yeah.
Oh, right. As they're running past you, right? They run, they
Or
see you.
no, but even if they walk up into your face, let's
Yeah,
say
yeah, yeah.
let's say you're getting discovered by Usha McNeil, just because Usha McNeil
Yeah.
is generally pretty valuable, right? You go, "Yeah, okay, I'll let you discover me, crazy koala."
Sure.
Yeah,
Right.
and they've
Right.
got that.
So
They
it's a
do have
trade.
that ability, like a crazy koala over something like a mine, where like
Mhm.
often the mine is like this, is the if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me kind of move. But with the crazy
Yes.
koala, you can go. I mean, and you can do this with both models, to be fair, right? But the
Mm.
thing is, what will happen is they'll have to come around the corner, then they'll have to spend an order to discover you, and then they
Mhm.
reveal that you're a Moran, and then they're gonna go,
Mhm.
oh, okay, well I'll just shoot you then, and then they go, cool, crazy koala, but I'll just yeet the crazy koala off 8 inches away next to another model that you
That's
weren't
right.
expecting me to do that to, and then they have to go, oh, now I can't activate because if it's a mine, you can just be like, oh, I'll
Yeah.
just detonate the mine on this guy, this warband or whatever, but you can put
Yeah.
the crazy koala off in another direction.
Yeah,
And
or
if
an
Which is nice.
incredible way of, let's say, like if a fire team goes to discover him, you pop down the
yeah.
crazy koala. That fire team moves. You go, "I'm just
Wow.
not going to blow up the leader. Just
Yep.
going to blow up the weakest link in that fire team. Boom, gone."
And again, if they're pushing through with a Harris team, right? If that's their attack vector, a Harris team, and they come around the corner to discover you with just the link team leader. With a mine, you could only put the mine down, and you can only like clip the leader. With a
Yeah,
crazy koala, you put it down, and you threaten all of them.
Yeah. So like
So
yeah,
if it's like the one
mm,
Harris that I've used before, if it's a Azura
yeah,
um Harris, the Azura's not going to care about a mine,
no, it's not.
but But
yeah.
if you put down a crazy koala, you can go, "Well, I'm just going to go kill the thing that's down the stairs."
Yeah, so
Mm,
it's very useful, and don't forget the crazy koalas are damage 15 shock, so they are
yes,
actually very
fucking
good at taking
lethal.
taking care of
Mm.
light infantry. No,
Man,
I
yeah,
don't see any reason why we don't see more of these. I think it's just like you say, going back to what you said about groupthink and
mm,
nomads relying heavily on guided missiles.
Mm.
If you suddenly remove the two midfield repeaters, are you
mm,
gonna maybe do that tactic as much, or are you gonna go and do something else with your list?
yeah.
It
And you,
remains to be seen. It remains to be
yeah.
seen whether or not we actually how often we see those types of units. But
And you can
um,
replace
yeah.
the two midfield repeaters very quickly with one shot of the pitcher. It's one order from
True.
like a
Yep.
cyclone, and you get the same two pitchers on the table, and then yeah, because the Morons, like you said, they just sit there. They just sit there all game.
Yeah. They
Yeah, I
very
mean,
rarely
if
have done anything aggressive. And it,
yeah,
Exactly.
to me, and then like if I'm playing Shaz or something like that, or whatever it is, and I've got a warband,
Mm.
and if you've got a Moran that's the repeater version on the table, then the first thing I'm doing is I'm climbing that
Beelining.
thing up there. I'm dodging the crazy
Exactly.
koala, and then I'm gonna go shiv your Moran. Whereas if he's under a camo marker, that's a lot harder to do.
Exactly right.
mm.
Exactly right.
Um,
I think
okay.
there's some.
And I think this is
Oh,
just this really quick. I think this is more valuable in N4 with the change to crazy koalas not being this constant
Yeah.
like circular presence. Now that you have to put them down, the only thing you have to worry about is the repeater.
Yep.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of armies in the game that do perfectly well without having a turn zero repeater net. So
Absolutely.
I
That's
don't know
another good
what
point.
nomads think they're doing that's so special that they're not even winning ITS events with them. So I don't know why. I don't know why we have to why this has to be the default is to have two repeaters in the midfield when
I feel like that was a
other armies
massive
don't have that.
insult.
I mean, they're not though. So, okay, moving on. So, right, I mean, we better try and speed this up a little bit, because if we want
Yeah,
to get to
sure.
some of our listener ones, which I'm quite keen to, we'll try and get through this
Mm.
now. So, back to me. My last one is going back to hack because I couldn't think of what else to talk about, and I've been talking about it for a fair bit already. The last couple episodes is the humble Namur. So
Mm.
this is going to be again Rama focus, but we will be talking about Hack Islam a bit in here too. So the Namur Experimental Operative Group is a light infantry elite troop, 6-2 move with CC21, BS13. It's basically a 2 wound model with armor 2 BTS 6. It has, again, a plethora of skills. It is CC attack +1 burst, climbing plus, courage, dodge +1 inch, dodge +3, immunity total, which is very important, specialist operative, which is also very important, and terrain total, which is also great. We have 3 profiles here. We have the breaker rifle, light shotgun, EMRAT, D-charges, heavy pistol, and an EMCC weapon for 39 points. We have the same profile again, sans the EMRAT, but has tactical awareness for 41. And then we have the Spitfire EMRAT D-charges for 43 points and 1 SWC. Now, I'm going to be talking about all of them kind of generically here, but the reason why I want to talk about them is, well, so the reason why I want to talk about them is they aren't included in a lot of they are being included more these days since they got the buff in Rama. But they are being used at the moment, how I see it, as to cheat an extra order into a Harris. And a very expensive order, mind you, for 41 points. But I'm seeing a lot of people run a Harris of these guys, or a Harris of something like a Mokhtar, and then adding in this person here because they are wild cards in Rama. Now, what I see as being the reason why maybe you don't see them very much in Hack Islam is because they are quite expensive, being almost 40 points being about 40 points per model. They're not the best gunfighters, and they're not the cheapest specialist. So they just sit in that kind of in-between phase where they're like, there's better gunfighters in the faction, in like the Mokhtar, the Asawira, like that sort of thing, but there are cheaper specialists in the form of like, Barids, Hawas, any other infiltrating specialist, essentially. So these guys just kind of are sitting in a kind of odd space, kind of like the Shikami was that you were talking about earlier on.
Yep.
Yeah, I was about to say this feels like the Shikami.
Yeah.
Now, what the reason why I've been running them a lot lately is simply because of the fact that they do combine so many things together into one lovely package. Because while they're not the best gunfire, they're still perfectly competent with being BS-13 with a breaker rifle or a Spitfire, and they're still a Whip 14 specialist operative, right?
And they're tough. They're so tough.
And yeah, exactly. 2 wounds with total immunity and armor 2 is great. It's going to soak up they won't soak up the most amount of damage, right? If someone comes around a corner and burst for them with an HMG, they're probably going to go down.
Again,
But they can take incidental damage in ARO and kind of just keep going.
Yeah. The main thing I whenever I see these profiles, it's like these guys are they give you a chance to look at a Noctifer and fuck up.
Yes.
And walk away.
Yeah.
Just walk straight out something.
So what I've been really enjoying about these guys at the moment is in Rama is because they're wild cards, they are capable of duoing with something like your duoing or harassing with something like a your Mukhtar, who has got MSV2, Mimetism, and a Red Fury. But I tend not to go down the path of the Harris. I tend to go down the path of the duo because I don't necessarily need that extra burst when I've got this girl here who kind of fits the bill of being that third member in that she has tactical awareness, so she can get you that extra order, and because she kind of does everything else the Mukhtar can't.
Specialist.
Like it can be cool. It's the specialist, it's the close range gunfighter. She dodges on 15, so she can dodge mines, right? She's got D charges and EMCC weapon with CC 21. She's got no martial arts skills to speak of, but against non-martial arts people, she's got +1 CC. Also, she's got +1 burst CC attack, so she can run into something, decharge it or EM it, probably survive because she's got 2 wounds and total immunity. And so she can kind of save like the premier gunfighter from dying, and she'll probably survive herself.
If you really need like extra fizz and AP for whatever reason, that heavy pistol comes in handy.
Sure, yeah, damage 14.
I mean, the reveal you've done on the EM weapons has blown my mind, and I don't see why you ever would. But yeah, you could if you need the like damage 14 AP, you got the pistol.
It's not AP on the heavy pistol. It's just shock.
Oh, it's shock, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, no, it's shock. My bad.
You can literally walk at something. Like you can, if a tag's on ARO, it doesn't have, for example, suppression. You can literally walk at it and try and win the fight. Just keep walking out, and if you lose the fight once, you're only taking 1 damage.
Well, because it's got a breaker rifle, it can kind of fight a tag because it's damage 13 AP against your BTS. Now, this is also where I am kind of sad that they've broken out the profiles into 3, because the Emarat profile on the breaker rifle is money, because it can walk into CC with anything and then go, or sorry, when I say anything heavy infantry or a tag, and go, what are you doing? Because if you shoot me, I'm just gonna put an Emarat template on you. If you fight me, or if you dodge, I'm gonna hit you with an EMCC weapon that's burst 2 with CC 21.
Jesus Christ!
It's just not a good option for anything that's hackable. And then if you decide to shoot me with a heavy flamethrower, cool. I'm total immune. I don't keep burning. Double action. I don't care. I take 1 wound unless you crit me, or you hit me multiple times.
Yeah, the only thing that this has any reason to be scared of is getting into CC with a close combat specialist, and if you're doing that, well, that's your fault.
Yeah, you don't want to be. It's risky if you're doing it. Like she'll probably not survive more than 1 round. But
there's 2 bursts.
2 dice though. 2 dice. 2 dice 18s versus 26s.
Inactive, sure, but not in reactive. And then going back to the talk about the Morans earlier on, like one of the things that Morans do really well is they sit on rooftops and be annoying. This girl climbs up that rooftop and doesn't care about the crazy koala because she's dodging on 15s. Doesn't care about getting spotlit because she's total immune and will just reset out of it, and then we'll just proceed to kill the Moran.
Yeah. And the other thing is like EM mines. What's the other? Mad traps. Like flash pulses. All those sort of things. She can walk past double deuces, right? And she's a great other than clearing mines, because incidental wounds and all that sort of thing.
Sure, yeah, she can definitely still take the mine.
But anything that's non-lethal, she's just like, sure, whatever, get fucked, I don't care.
And the reason why I've been including her in my games, and especially in Rama, is because a lot of stuff in Rama can be can be durable, but it's also weirdly not. Like the Mokhtars are 1 wound, no an incap, but they're 1 wound. The Namur is the Nahab is 1 wound incap when armor 1. The Quarij are just 1 wound. The Zayadin are just 1 wound. There's a lot of stuff in the faction that actually can't take a hit an awful lot. Like it's really reliant on dice.
So this is like your quickest, toughest unit.
It's one of the fastest. I mean, a lot of things are 6-2. The Namur 6-2. The Mukhtar 6-2. A lot of things are 6-2. But this thing, whereas you have Carmen and Batard, who are great, right? They're your warband, and the Beast Hunter again, very good. But the Namur is there, can kind of, because it can do everything. You kind of don't necessarily need to have multiple different units that are doing individual things. She just kind of does all the things. And yeah, like if someone's just like flash pulses up, then she can just kind of walks through them, finds the weakest point, climbs up to it and stabs it or shoots it or whatever she needs to do to it.
Can I ask, have you considered the Harris of 2 Nafatun with heavy flamers and the Namor Spitfire?
I haven't. No.
Basically, think of the Nafatuns as peripherals for her. That way you can dig her into the midfield. That way, if they want to deal with her, they have to go through 2 Nafatuns.
Like a more expensive version of Fiddler.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad. I don't hate the idea. I have been experimenting with putting Nafatun in my Harris, kind of like you would for a McCall in Toha, just to have like a heavy flamethrower disposable arrow piece. And that's the only problem with that is I find is that the Namur will quickly outrun the Nafatun. I mean, not that quickly because it's 6-2, so they're both moving 8 inches a turn. But assuming you're like moving and shooting, then it'll eventually run out of space.
Yeah.
But I think that's not that's something I might consider. In Hack Islam, so what I haven't talked about actually is what it competes with, and I think I sort of have said what it competes with. Is it because it sits in that middle ground where it's not the best gunfighter, it's not the cheapest specialist. People just tend to overlook them, especially in Hack Islam where you have such good cheap specialists and such decent gunfighters. Like you've got the Boktar now, and as well as the Asawira and the Mukhtar. It can be hard to justify this person, but what I've been finding really useful is especially in Rama, and things you can do this in vanilla hack as well because you've got duos, and these things can duo. Admittingly, they're only AVA1. Is you just run 2 duos, and then the Namur adds that extra order if you're taking the tactical awareness awareness version. And if you want a gunfighter, the Spitfire is still perfectly adequate. Like BS13 burst 4 with a Spitfire is great. So
insurance policy.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been having a lot of fun with them. I don't see them that often in lists. And I think where I do see them is just like I say, like cheating like an extra model in a Harris. But I'm making a case for them as a duo because I don't think you actually need that third model because I don't think the +1 burst actually benefits you when you have a model that's sort of doing everything you need it to do anyway.
The reason I thought of the Nafatans is because Dan's been playing Rama and he's been having trouble, and they seem pretty fragile. So I'm like, what's like a really good unit to trade with? That can go into midfield. And I'm like Nafatan. They go into the main link, right? And I'm like,
it's not a bad idea. I like the way you described it, like auxiliaries for like Oxbots.
Yeah,
that's not a bad. I don't mind that idea. I'm liking it because the other thing about the Namur is that's a bit of a not a downside, I guess, is what you have to be aware of is because it's a specialist and potentially a gunfighter. You don't want it to die before it gets to push its buttons.
Exactly.
So I that's why I tend to have this unit with an actual gunfighter, or have it with another specialist, like doing it with a Rafik, for example, because then you've got 2 specialists, and you don't have to you don't have to and 2 tack awareness. You don't have to potentially lose the Namur to a shitty engagement when you want it there to be pushing buttons.
I'm convinced. I think Namur's fucking awesome. Yeah.
So maybe that wasn't too much of a hard sell, but I just want to talk about them because I freaking love these guys, and I want to make them. I want to see them. I want to see them more. All right, so moving on. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go. This is the big one. This is the big one.
I can't say I'm going to be able to help you here, mate. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. Checks the long arms. Now, I am only talking about...
He nearly couldn't think of a reason.
I am only talking about, for the most part, the portable autocannon.
Okay.
Now, in Toha or Spiral Core. Now, everything I say can somewhat be applied to the missile launcher. Well, yeah, this can be applied to the missile launcher. So, in Toha and in Spiral Core, both of these are pure fire teams. Now, they can only Harris because they're Toha, which doesn't sound like much. But similar to Toisa, the portable autocannon with +1 damage is a damage 16 explosive AP weapon with burst 2. And obviously burst 3 in active. If things go wrong, more than likely whatever you freaking hit is dead. Right? It doesn't matter if it's tagged, doesn't matter if it's a heavy infantry, anything.
Yep. I mean,
Now,
because what is it? In ARO, it's explosive, right?
no, it's always explosive AP.
Always explosive AP.
Yes,
Oh,
the portable
okay.
autocannon is always
But
explosive AP.
just
Oh,
doesn't get
right.
a template.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. I see. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, of course, with bioimmunity, does mean that the long arms will always be rolling an armor 3, which is pretty
It's
decent
pretty good.
armor,
Pretty good. Yep.
right, for for any model. But
Yep.
yeah, this model especially, it's linkable with the 10-point flamethrower sensor
Checks
Chaxa
auxiliaries. Yep.
auxiliaries.
Yep.
Right. Now, the reason I bring up the fact that this is a pure link is that those auxiliaries do have sensors, which does mean it's worth sticking them to watch a lane because they do discover
Plus nines
um,
then.
at +9.
Fuck, it's actually pretty good.
Right. So for what if you are
Yeah,
on
it
a
is.
map, right? If you are on a map that has a nice 32-inch long corridor, right, and a good spot to watch it from, these guys can just sit there, and because of the profile of the weapon that they have, most people are going to second guess taking on this particular unit. Now, yes, if your opponent has, you know, long range sniper with mimetism, mimetism -6, yeah, you're probably not going to go so well. But again, if the rolls are fluffed, that unit is gone.
I think,
Right?
yeah, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you've then got two auxiliaries that are very easy to replace because it's AVA 4 and they're only 10 points.
Mhm.
Right? That are excellent at defending it from behind because they've got heavy flamethrowers, but they're also really, really good at watching watching a corridor and discovering a camo token. If your opponent's plan, and I've had this happen plenty of times, is to get a camo token across gaps, right, and stay safe in its camouflage marker, you will waste so many orders, right, of your opponent.
Yeah, because I mean,
And
if in the open, it's discovering on even a mimetism -3, it's
on
discovering on
19s.
19s. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and the other thing is that the portable autocannon can also take part in defending itself. It does have a pulsar, same range as a heavy flamethrower. It does get 2 of the templates.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem like it is a bit expensive, but if it pays off, it really does pay off because people aren't going to throw their middling they're not going to throw their middling gunfighters at it because if it goes wrong, that guy's dead, and having high chance that it goes wrong is not what people
So
want.
what's it competing with then? What Harris is it competing with for its cost?
It's not really competing with a Harris, so to speak. It's partly because it's in 2 factions that struggle with SWC.
No,
A
hang on.
lot.
Whoa. Hold on. You're
Yeah, go
talking
on.
about this in Toha, the faction
Yeah.
of Harrises. So it's got to be competing with a Harris.
Oh yeah, I get to that, but the bigger problem is that it's 1.5 SWC, right? That's just going to stand. That's potentially just going to stand there, and not do much.
Right.
The other
Okay.
thing is the other thing is that it doesn't get
Mates or bombs.
doesn't get symbiote mates.
Yes.
As for what it's competing with, it is competing with the Sakiel with just 2 McCools on it, which is about the same amount of points. I think it's slightly more expensive. It is competing with the Nikul with a bomb attached. A mate attached, right? Which is MSV1 viral sniper.
But wait, is the Nikul in a triad?
No, it's
As an
not. But it
arrow
is.
case.
It is MSV1 in Sapper state.
So yeah, so that's what I'm saying though. So you can have the Nikul mine layer, right? For 29 points and 1.5 SWC with with the Kael'tar specialists for, I don't know, 20 points. That's 50. And then the McCall for another 13. So for maybe 13 more points, you can get a 2 wound MSV1, Mimetism, Viral Sniper Rifle.
The cool
Red-
can't join links.
Oh,
the
sorry.
The cool cunt Harris. It's the Sacuel that.
Oh, okay,
That's
sorry.
the main. It's the main competitor with this.
You say
Yeah.
you sure? You sure? Wait, hang on. Wait. What's the Sakiel? You mean
Sakiel
no.
Commando.
You mean the Sukiel. The Sukiel
Sukiel,
Commando.
whatever.
Not,
Sorry,
not
you're
the
right.
Sak-
Sorry, Sukiel. Yes.
The Sukiel
Sorry,
Commando.
you're
Yeah,
right.
okay. So the
Sukiel,
Sukiel Commando K1 sniper rifle
or the missile launcher.
or the missile launcher, you can get
Mate.
it. You can get it for like what 6 more points is what you're saying.
Mhm.
Right. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the things that it Harris's are a little bit more expensive, but then it can move out and potentially do other things.
It's got mimetism. It's
blah.
got higher BS. It's got arguably, it's got a gun that's similar-ish, I guess, in that it's a good arrow gun. Yep.
The reason I'm talking about the long arms, especially with the portable iron cannon, is 2 things. One, fucking love the portable iron cannon model.
Auto
Yeah, we know.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Auto cannon, portable auto
Yeah,
cannon
whatever.
model.
We're not playing
love
Tau
that
in
model.
40k. That's all. Just clarify.
I love the model, but I also don't think there is a more dangerous gun in the game, right? Than the portable autocannon, and I think this is probably the only platform that has a portable autocannon. I think this is on par with maybe the Tank Hunter with the portable autocannon.
Okay, so I think what you can do is just like break it down in that the advantages of this Harris is it's slightly cheaper than having a Sukiel Commando. It has an arguably better gun or dangerous gun, and then it allows you to take sensor dudes with heavy flamethrowers, which are arguably a better defensive weapon than something like on a. Although actually McCalls can have heavy flamethrowers as well, so that's actually probably a moot point.
It's mainly the sensor. Like this
it's
is
mainly
a
the
great,
sensor. Okay.
This is a great Harris, right, for watching a lane. Right, it's pretty cheap. Right, you can get it's a decent. It's a amount of orders that you're probably not going to use. You can put somewhere else that can discover camo tokens that are running across. Can defend itself relatively well, and the consequences for failure against this particular gun are high.
So here's my pitch then to where I might take a unit like a Harris like this. Is in zone control or armory missions, where I want to be able to move up my 2 Chaxa Auxilias and have something to shoot on the way up. So ideally, this Harris would move up out of my DZ, so I can start using the baggage on the 2 Auxilias, and then I've got a gun that I can use actively to get me there, and then I just plop them down somewhere where it can see things inside 32, and then the 2 Auxilias just kind of sit there and be like, haha, I'm 60 points in this zone, and then the portable autocannon then just is there to waste orders and die.
One thing that the autocannon can do, I'm not sure how good at Tohar cracking armor, but this 3 autocannon in the Harris can really fucking do some damage.
Yeah, I think high armor for the most part, Toha sort of bypass armor and they try and slap you on your BTS more than anything.
Yeah, okay.
Because they've got so many viral weapons.
Yeah.
All right. We will have to move on very soon because we want to try and get this wrapped up and get onto our last one.
I'll put out one other thing. The long arm is religious, so it will never drop down.
That's actually a very good point. It will stay standing up. You won't lose it. It's good. Okay, and our last one for the evening is
the model that won me 4 out of 5 games at CanCon. It is the Ninja hacking device.
So, specifically the hacker.
Hacker. The hacker.
Yeah, okay.
Ninja's pretty popular, but the hacking device is the one I want to try encourage people to consider. So basically, the Ninja hacking device is rarely taken. It suffers because it's next to the killer hacking device, which is what everyone reaches for. Basically, for 6 points, the hacking device gives you a lot more diversity and utility than the killer hacker. Basically, gives you depending what having a hidden state hacker so powerful, especially in the current iteration of the game where tags are very popular, and having an answer to a tag through a hacker is a good thing. Having the ability to dictate the fight in the sense that either you come out and your reactive turn at the right time because they don't know you're there, or because they can't possibly stop you going in your attack run because you're not on the table yet. So obviously, sensor aside, it's a very powerful tool. Um, of course, the strengths are of the killer hacker are the following: it starts up the field, it's hidden, it's a specialist, and it's got a marker state. Right, hacking device does all this plus giving you a gun, plus giving you ability to stop tags and heavy infantry. Um, So for 6 points, I think the utility of being able to stop tags and heavy infantry is a no-brainer, basically. And I think people reach for the killer hacking device far too quickly. I'll admit the killer hacking device is more of an assassin piece because it can kill other hackers and it can close combat other people with DA close combat.
Yeah,
But
unfortunately, the hacker only gets AP, which is odd.
it only gets AP, so you can't do missions to, I guess, where you need to
Yeah.
kill like
Yeah.
Anti-material weapons.
material and stuff.
The AP is essentially like the Malay version of SMG. It's what they put in to try and make the profile cheaper.
Yeah, exactly right. So nonetheless, anyway, so I think, and it's going to try in total this season, really good. Can go up and down buildings finally, because usually it couldn't. Other seasons it can't. So some missions can go up and down buildings, but no, it's the having the ability to have a handbrake in your aero turn if a tag or heavy infantry is coming down your flank is super valuable, and having an answer to your opponent's tag without having to get a line on it because they've hidden it is also really useful. And finally, guided works a treat with it as well because, like I said, you can't stop your attack run. You can get within 8 inches of them without them being able to say much about it.
So a question I have then is you said you don't see it very often because people take the killer hacker instead. But then you then said the advantage of the hacker is something that the killer hacker can't do. So then that opens the question like, well, they're not obviously taking the killer hacker over the hacker because of what it does.
Taken to push buttons, right? But what I'm arguing is
So yeah. So so therefore they're taking the killer hacker to push buttons, right? But that means that they're still, and as far as you've just explained, they're still not covering themselves against what you're using the hacker for. So what are Yujing players using instead of the hacker?
I'm not sure.
Because well, and that's I'm just trying to say, like it's competing. If it's competing with something, right? It's there as a handbrake against heavy infantry and tags. But assuming then, what are Yujing players using as a handbrake against the heavy infantry and tags at the moment?
I'm not sure if
they're not taking it.
you don't necessarily have to build a handbrake for heavy infantry tags. Some people don't, right?
Well, no,
I'm just saying,
So let me rephrase it then. I'm not saying a handbrake. Then what are they using to counter heavy infantry and tags at the moment if they're not taking the ninja hacker? Because I'm
I'm not sure.
assuming they must be.
I'm not sure. There's a whole different bunch of ways. Probably warbanders, and maybe Sujans. I'm not really sure.
Let me give you the answer. It's called the Guilang. Oh, you've just gone quiet.
Yeah, sorry. How? Yeah, go on. How's the wheeling?
The Guilang, because it gives you a repeater in the midfield that you can use to say to tags or heavy infantry, don't come this way, or I'll hack you with my hackers that are in my DZ. So that's what this guy's doing, except this guy's getting the added advantage of being a surprise. But I would argue that Guilangs and repeaters in the midfield do exactly the same thing because you've still got hackers in Yujing. Now I don't know what the hackers are in Yujing. I don't know, if there's other units I'm not thinking of here. But I'm just trying to think outside the box and going like, well, why am I not seeing this unit more? Because I use it all the time. I use it all the time in Shazvasti because I too am very worried in Shazvasti about having heavy infantry or tags that I can't deal with guns. I want to deal with it with hacking, but I don't have any midfield. I don't have any. I don't have any repeaters. I don't have any pitchers. All my hackers, all my other hackers are in the DZ. So that leaves me with either Shrouded or Malignos. Now Shrouded are kind of obvious because they're a camo marker, whereas the Malignos is not. So that therefore I use a Malignos because there isn't really any other option for Shaz to protect me.
Right.
Now, and I'm asking you, is that the same in Yujing, or does Yujing have another option that players are using instead of this hacker?
Yujing might have other options. I'm not sure. I know ISS don't, and I know JSA don't really have a great way to stop tags coming down their throat.
Yeah, so you're talking about this from the point of view of ISS and GSA then?
No, but even in Yujing, it's a useful tool to have, right?
Oh yeah, I'm just trying to get to the just to because people are going to be like, oh, but I don't use that in Yujing because I've got this other tool.
Yeah, that's why I'm focusing on highlighting the strength of the unit, and then people can apply it to their own list building with the strength in mind, rather than trying to build the list out. Because I don't know, I don't play vanilla Yujing, so I'm not too sure. But you do make a good point around the Guilangs. That is a common unit that people use as kind of insulation. We're using that deployable repeater.
Yeah,
So,
but of course you don't.
actually
But of course you don't get an ISS, so therefore the hacker makes a really good replacement there. And same in GSA actually. Now you mention it, because they also don't have a very good way to defend their midfield. So yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just trying to, I guess, figure out where you would use this unit instead. I think the ninja hacker pops up in other factions, right? In Akari as well, I think it's a really good option where it can do it too.
I didn't even know he was in Akari.
Yeah, I think it's in Akari. No, it definitely is in Akari because I had John use it against my Sphinx. Well, he actually did. He actually didn't use it against my Sphinx. He deployed it. He deployed it as his reserve model, and he was going second, and I was like, and I think I'd already put my Sphinx down as a marker, and I was like, well, he's obviously put the hacker in front of my Sphinx. I'm going to run across the other side of the board and go up the other flank. So yeah, I know he has it.
Nice.
Yeah, no, cool. I definitely agree with you on that one.
Yeah. I think for it's one of the few hidden deployment specialists that JSA has. I'm just taking a look through them now.
Potentially.
And I mean, I think JSA has. I think they have an okay solution to tags getting in their face, and the fact that the Damaru all have EM grenades, so they're okay at throwing them, and the range would be relatively the same.
The active turn, yeah, not the reactive. In the reactive, if the tag's coming through your lines, there's very little stopping it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you're facing the tag, you can still throw your grenades at it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Let's. My honorable mentions just before
before you do that. Yeah. So we've done all of the all of our 3 picks. So now we're going to very quickly throw it out to our. We're going to throw it out to our patrons who, before we started recording the podcast, we asked them, and they gave out a few really, really, really good ones. Val, did you have any of that list from there that you want to talk about beforehand, or do you just want to open up to the patrons?
No, off that list, I think somebody mentioned Tank Hunter. They're trying to get the Tank Hunter to work in, or trying to understand the value of the Tank Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the way I looked at the Tank Hunter, because I was a little bit confused as well, it really depends on the role. So one of the main considerations is the Tank Hunter autocannon versus missile launcher. And the distinction I want to make between the two is the fact that the missile launcher is completely aero presence, while the portable autocannon can do both.
Yeah, the old burst 1 versus burst 2 type thing. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, surprise attack with camo and cover, burst 2 autocannon, a portable autocannon is very respectable. Whilst the missile launch is only burst 1, so it's only an ARO piece in my mind. Furthermore, the Tank Hunter AP HMG sets itself aside from the Spetsnaz HMG because it has AP. So the Spetsnaz is more likely to win the fight. But if you actually want to get through armor, you want to use the AP. You want to use the Tank Hunter.
Okay.
That's for me.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna scroll back up and find them again because we started asking them and then we've had a few more since then. So yes, we're just gonna really quickly just give some hot takes on these from our patrons just for a laugh. So let me just scroll up. Jesus
So
Christ!
I got
There's a
one
whole...
here from.
Hang on,
Hugh.
I'm just gonna start from the top because I want it to be in
yeah, go
order.
for it,
Well, not necessarily in order, but people who
Yeah,
asked
so we
first.
cover them all.
So the first one
Yep.
is the Seraph.
Seraph?
Why would you ever take the Seraph? Sorry. How can we make the Seraph worth taking?
Go
Sure.
forward. The tag that can go forward.
Okay.
Not many tags can go past the halfway line and still be useful.
Yeah.
I mean,
My response to that was
My response to that was
it can
defend itself okay.
We're not trying to polish a turd. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Okay,
A
fair
Seraph. I can't.
You're not a fan?
Nope, not a fan. They also asked for the Infirmerer. I don't have much to say on the Infirmerer. It's hard
I
to.
think it's shit.
It's
Shit.
just it's difficult. It's got a mono
okay.
weapon and it's a doctor. I guess it can be. It's kind of. I'll tell you what it's a bit like in that it is a useful addition to a Harris. Like if you've got a gunfighter, you can put this guy in it as a doctor to keep things going, and then like a third thing be a corner guard or a hacker. So I think in that instance it works.
Yeah. The problem with a paramedic in a Harris is because when you lose somebody from the Harris, paramedics one burst. The doctor's actually probably
The
better
doctor.
odds because you've got the reroll.
You've got the reroll,
but
and
you're
you've
paying
probably got a
25
higher.
points.
Yeah, it's tough. Someone's already asked for tracks at long arms. Jacob's giving them the reason there.
Jacob was one step ahead.
Give it a crack, guys. I mean, hell, tell me if I convinced you.
Near Snow 22 suggested the Lunicod. And actually, I was gonna make Lunicod into my list because I really like them. But I do struggle. They're often one of the first things that I drop in a list because they're 25 points. They're great corner guards because they got crazy koalas, heavy shotguns, heavy flamethrowers, repeaters, climbing plus. They're armor 3. They sound so good. They sound so good, but and especially nomads where you've got Morans. Unfortunately, they get beaten out there. In Tunguska, I don't really know. In Bakunin, I don't know why.
Tunguska, you're competing with hecklers if you want to get that repeater shit.
Right, and then in Bakunin, I guess you've just got Morlocks, right? So there's your cheaper corner guard.
They have climbing plus, don't they?
Yeah, they do have climbing plus. Yeah,
it's pretty nice. Nice.
I've gotten used to them before. I've run them in Starco. I think they definitely have a place. I just think it's not that obvious. Maybe in armory missions where you don't want it to go inside, but you want to be able to put a repeater and a heavy flamethrower and a crazy koala in there. Maybe
in Bakunin you got Zeros, which is similar to Morans, kind of. They got deployable repeaters and camouflage.
Yeah, and it's also the fat base. Anything with a fat base can also be difficult to use.
You play them like rooks and chess. You just keep them on the flanks and just push up the flank, just slowly. Would you go in the middle?
The Lunicod made a lot more sense when, again, the crazy koalas were out all the time, so they had like this nice like potential 16-inch bubble.
I have a use case for the Lunicod. Take it in vanilla nomads and give it a Rem Racer.
Which one though? Which Rem Racer?
Give it the one that gives it the +9 CC.
What's the CC normally?
Let me just find it for you.
It's probably 14.
CC 14, so it goes up to CC 23 with D charges.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
CC 23 with D charges.
Fair enough.
And if you don't want to use the D charges, it's got a power CC weapon -3. So
I'm building
CC 23
for your tournament.
CC 23 and then -3 for your opponent.
I like that.
And it's got I mean, I don't think the crazy call wouldn't detonate when you walk into CC because you finish in the in the thing, so it doesn't matter about that. But
Something like that.
yeah, so that's my use case for the Lunacod.
What else do they ask about?
We've got the Hulang.
Oh yes.
Now, does anyone want to talk about the Hulang?
Hulang's a forward deployment, pretty
Yeah.
much a Shikami, isn't it?
It's like the
The
Shikami. Yeah.
Shikami. The
I would
crazy
say just
koala.
go and listen to me talking about the Shikami. I'm pretty sure they're practically identical.
No, they're quite different. They're similar in that they're both -6. You can get them in Dashat, and I've been using them in Dashat because because the problem with the Hulang is it's a marker, it's a non-marker state midfield heavy infantry, which is really susceptible to being hacked. But in Dashat, you get 2 Libertos with Mine Layer.
Yeah, to cover it. Yeah.
So you can kind of cover it, you can kind of insulate it, and it's got its own crazy koala, the Hulang. So you can put out 2 mines, two mines and a crazy koala to just kind of like give yourself an area of fuck you, don't come near me. And then the Hulang has martial arts level 2 with a monofilament, EM grenades, and decharges. So it can attack anything in close combat.
Yeah.
And burst 4 SMG with mimetism -6. I mean, sure, don't walk inside 8, or don't walk inside 8 of someone with a temple weapon. But other than that, pretty good.
Cool.
It's also a very good armory piece.
Yeah.
You get that in an armory in suppressive fire. It's not going anywhere for a while.
Its problem is it's like it's 42 points. It's 4/4 move.
Yeah.
It's 1 wound no winning cap with 3 armor, which is fine. It does struggle, but I think in Dashat, because everything else around it is so cheap, I've had some pretty good success with it. So I'd recommend trying it out in Dashat. Sorry, I know Tero, he plays Invincible Army, but that's my suggestion for Dashat.
Yeah.
I mean, in Invincible Army, again, it's because of the weapons it's got. It's good for getting into armory rooms.
Yeah, and crazy koalas protect you against hackers, so that's a really good inbuilt defense against hackers, which is nice.
Yeah,
not so much pitchers, but hackers definitely.
Hackers definitely. We've got a couple more here. We can just I don't know if you. We've also got the locust. Oh, who wants to tackle the locust?
Locust is good. I think Locust is good. Mim 6 BS12. It's got some unique kits as well. Again. And it infiltrates. It's got the wild parrot, which is unique. It's got a killer hacking profile, so you can go into a marker state. And I think the Locust is good, but again, you're running into that problem of not having a marker state, so you just have to learn how to play with that.
Where would you take? What would you take instead of the Locust? Like where does it appear normally? What sectorals is it in?
In CA, I think it's
in CA, right? Okay. Oh yeah, I see. You mean the wait? Oh yeah, it does have a wild parrot. Okay, and
wild
the
wild parrot's rare piece of tech.
It's the EM thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very rare piece of equipment.
And it's only 25. It's only 25 points.
M6 BS12, like, all right, like.
Imagine just being an absolute Chad and rolling the Fizz 9 on it to get it into your opponent, inside your opponent's DZ, and then just wild parroting, like being like,
what does the wild parrot do? Is it just like a crazy koala but EM?
EM, yeah, but it has a template instead of the.
There's a template.
Yeah.
An EM, yeah, it's gross.
Oh, yeah, it's gross.
What else we got? What else?
We've got the someone suggest. Oh, hang on, I've lost it. So someone suggested the Achilles version 2.
I think. Did I mean the version 1?
Version 2 is the one with armor, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know which one's which.
Both good.
Yeah, they're both good.
They're both.
They're both good. Yeah. Both good. Just don't run them in Steel Phalanx. Run them in vanilla.
Someone said Aljabel, but they're wrong, and they should feel bad for saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I can understand that Aljabel kind of competes with just Fidays.
Yes.
But if you've got the points to upgrade a Fiday, just put in Aljabel.
Well, the thing is, right, in Vanilla Hack, you've only got AVA 1 Fiday, so if you want 2 Fidays, you have to include Aljabel.
True, that's true.
He becomes, maybe in Assassins, you might not see him because you've got AVA 2 Fidays, and you might just want to spend less points on just having 2 for days.
Well, that's
yeah.
what I was saying. Is if you get the points to upgrade, because I don't think it's that much more expensive than
He's like he's up to 8 points more expensive, or maybe more than that.
Well, like, he's not like 10 or 15. He's only like a little bit in the scheme of things.
Yeah. So anyway, that one. We've also got the Hugh reckons the Tariot and the Kurgats and Morats.
Taryots, you can keep you. I'm not going to try to justify that piece of turd. And the Kurgats, the fact that they can go into the link now and they got some interesting options, I think you can justify.
Kurgat's the engineer, right?
Yeah. With
Okay,
the portable autocannon that can
water
pure
cannon.
Or
they can drop air, or they can have burst 3 combi rifle AP or some shit.
Yeah. All right. And we've got one for you, Jacob, Yadu, and Arjuna in OSS.
And the reason I can think of Arjuna is if you have like a super tag heavy meta, because it can't really kill anything, but it's got really good EM shit. It's got like cyber mines and the Emorats or whatever on the robots.
I think they're pretty cool, the Arjuna, actually. I think it's pretty
cool. They are quick and they are specialists, so look, you can use them. The problem is they're just a little bit expensive. But you can use them to like press buttons and do fight. They're like, but the problem is they sort of suffer with like what O12 sometimes suffers with, is that so much of their stuff is just non-lethal.
Right. Okay. And they're only one wound as well, right?
Yeah, they're only one wound.
Yeah.
No courage or anything. Yadu. I'm going to sort of count Shakti in this. And it's really expensive, but it's really fucking good. The Azura, Yadu, HMG, NCO, and Shakti. Right, you take the Lieutenant level 2 Azura with the NCO, HMG, Yadu, and Shakti. You have this like incredible. It's almost like a trap. You have these incredible hackers that are incredibly hard to hack themselves, and you've got 2 orders that you can use on the NCO to move the entire fire team up. Really expensive, but it's, I reckon, really worth it.
Okay.
The other thing, the Arjuna, I've had the Arjuna use against me. It's actually very good. One thing OSS struggle with is pace trading, and having the 2 peripherals is pretty good.
Yeah, I think I remember playing a game against you, Jacob, where you pinned in my Sphinx with the Arjuna. I think it was you.
I don't remember that, but I do remember doing, I think, something very similar to Julian with his avatar. I just kept putting cyber mines around the corner.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, it was cyber
in
mines.
The corner, and then
and then you put a cyber mine.
I stuck him in the.
That was it. Yeah, you I think my Sphinx climbed up a building where it couldn't be attacked, and then you just came around and started dropping cyber mines, and my Sphinx was like, "Oh fuck, I can't get back down again."
Admittedly, the best thing about the Arjuna is the Arjuna itself doesn't have the cyber mines.
Oh. Wow!
It's the bots that have the cyber mines on them. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yes, but that's all they do, right? They've got Emorats as well.
Yeah, but the whole point about it is that if you have to run them around the corner and you want to drop a cyber mine, right, you very much can just walk around the corner and put them down. So it's cool that they have it, but it also means that what you can do is spread out with both of them, because the way that peripherals work is you can shoot at separate targets with them, which means what you can do is split the bots away from the Arjuna, have them both put down their mines, because they're allowed to do that, and then come back.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
there you go. There's the juice for the Arjuna. I take it back. The Arjuna is fucking amazing.
Okay, and then he also asked for Govads and Vanilla Hack. In Vanilla Hack, I don't know, dude. A veteran killer hacker. Sorry. Maybe in Assassins, I could see a reason.
I think they're not too bad. Like
an MSV1
they
HMG
kind of work
is
with like
fine.
a slightly more. They kind of work as a little bit more expensive Berid with the MSV. But
you can duo them in vanilla. I don't know that you ever would want to. Actually, yes, you can duo them in vanilla. Maybe you put the hacker in with the Shakush, maybe the Rafik. No, maybe the HMG goes with. I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that one.
I mean, like,
Um,
that's not the
eh,
point of this episode to try and,
all
you
right,
know, fit a
Val.
square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, Val, I got one for
Next.
you, Pavel.
Pavel's amazing. He's an assassin. He'll deal with any problem you got in tack. And then you can also, in conjunction with the amount of smoke you get, and the dog warriors having total immunity, you can literally just walk into a tag. That way you tie it up, and then Pavel comes through with a
Yes.
berserking
Okay.
with
And
burst speed.
admittedly, he says in Cosmoflot, and
Yes.
he is right. In Cosmoflot, Pavel doesn't shine as much as he does in Tatari.
That's
In
true because
Right.
you got the
tack.
SAS
What
with the decharges.
he
Fair
is,
enough.
what we were discussing
And you
before
got Usha
is
as
he is
well.
an is that Pavel is an anti anything missile.
He just
Right.
missed that.
Right. If you want something dead, right, and you've got enough orders, he will be able to get rid of them.
Heroic charge, Jacob, not suicide. Heroic charge.
I didn't say suicide. You said it.
No,
I
I
said it
didn't
was a
say.
missile.
I just, yeah, I just would do it.
In game, in
Uh,
game.
was it called something wind? Right. Casanova. Although I think actually he
No.
seems to be okay now. He just suffers from the usual thing we've talked about tonight. He's a forward deploying non-marker state model
Yeah.
that is susceptible to being attacked. But he does have a lot of things going for him. Other than that,
Music.
seed soldiers and Shaz, garbage. Garbage.
The only
Fucking
use
garbage.
case the only use case is when you need a paramedic forward deploying. That's
I'd
it.
rather
I
have
think.
Doctor Worm.
Again, the
No.
only
I'd rather
only
have
use
Doctor
case.
And,
Only use case.
Yeah, I mean, like you can't even arrow with a Panzerfaust because there's SX, like fucking useless. S or S0, whatever we call them these days. Frontovix and Cosmo seem to get passed over. Scott's Guard
Frontovix
as
is
well
not
also
good,
get passed over. In
Yeah,
Cosmo,
look,
yeah,
Scott's Guard have
Can't
always
like Cosmo.
been the only reason to take them really is for the missile launcher and to do coordinated order shenanigans.
yep.
I don't know what the fire teams are for the Frontovix, but if they're not like, I don't know, I'll take a look and I'll see.
Frontovic HRL is great in tack, so if you can do that in Cosmo, it might be a good alternative
I think they can only go with the Cosmosol that. I think that's the only one they can go
Yeah,
with.
no, they can make their own. Frontovix can make their own thing. Yeah,
make their own.
Yeah. So if you don't want
too expensive for that.
if you don't want to put heaps
Yeah.
of points into the Ariadna, into the total immunity heavy infantry guy, you can do the Frontovix instead. And that's what
But
I
yeah, but
guess so.
that fire team is very expensive, and it's just too expensive for Ariadna, with everything being like upper 20s.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, and then we have that doesn't matter. That's all the same thing. Papa Chew wants us to give our take on Jace, and I'm like, I can't. Actually, no. I'll give you a take on a Jace. I'll give you a take on a Jace and Shaz. I can't think of a good reason to take on vanilla combined, but I did run them in Shaz, and the ability to have Mimetism -6, MSV1, Red Fury in a Harris that's pulling along either another Jaith or something like Dukash is really valuable in a faction that doesn't have that many, like, it has Sheskin, and then it has the Gualos, and they're both 50 plus point models.
Mhm.
And then you've got the Jaith, who's still expensive, 38 points. But again, Burst 5, Mimetism -6, MSV1, Red Fury is very, very capable of doing what you need to do. So just bear that in mind.
Yeah. Eighth is probably the hardest hitting unit in Shaz, and Shaz don't hit very hard.
The problem
if you can get
their armor 0 with one wound, and it sucks so hard when they go down.
You can cheapen up their thing with their Harris with Ada, which is
yes.
not too bad.
Sorry, yeah. You can do like Jaith, Ada, or Jaith. I like to put a specialist in there, so I've been putting Dukash, and Dukash is a nice little. He's actually another one of those like sort of models we've been talking about tonight, where you pay a bit for him, but he's a good gunfighter because he's BS 13 with a damage 15 multi rifle. He's got mimetism. He's no wounding cap. He's a specialist. He's very good in CC, but he just kind of that awkward like just pay more points for Sheskin or pay less points for like
Like a Caliban.
a Caliban or even Korax, who's also a specialist. He's 8 points cheaper and has a Spitfire, which is a better gun than the multi rifle. But yes, I would like to go back to Shaz and try more Jace, but it's a tough one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that Jaith Red Fury sits in the sort of same area as Tuatha, where it's like a good gun, you know, Madness V.
There's just better things out there for more points, and you'd rather spend the points. I've got one here that I really like from Zephyr. It's it's staying on Shaz. It's the Caliban Forward Observer. I've actually been running this unit before, and the reason why I like it over the other Caliban is often you'll see the Caliban chain of command being taken because it's a specialist, it's got an SMG, it's a Pulsar, it's good in CC, it's got D charges, and it's a chain of command, so you can take something like Sheskin as your LT. The reason why I like the FO is because often I just take the Mentor Lieutenant or 2 Nox as my lieutenants, so they're sitting in the back anyway. No one's really going to go after them. So I don't have to take the chain of command one, and I can save myself a point and take the FO. And then what the FO has, the FO has a boarding shotgun instead of an SMG Pulsar.
Nice.
And the boarding shotgun is useful because it's burst 2 template weapons.
Yeah,
So if you, for example, have already managed to eat up a wound and you're on 2 wounds or 3 wounds, you can now fork. You can now very effectively fork somebody by walking into CC and going, "What do you do?" Because if you fight me, if you dodge, I'm decharging you. If you fight me, I'm putting 2 templates on you, and I'm probably surviving.
And then I'm eating the remains.
And then I'm eating the remains. Cool. So I think that's very good. I did try it for a failed attempt to do a guided list by having like this guy as an FO. It worked. It worked, but I don't think I would do it for that again.
Because you have sea soldiers.
Because you have sea soldier for the servers, yeah.
Admittedly, because now I think about it, because that's
and you still have the flash pulse as an arrow.
That's especially nasty because
and the flash pulse.
Because and the other thing is because you got stealth and you don't have to take an armor save against forward observing. You can forward observe, and they can't turn around because they didn't take an armor save.
No, I think they was.
Interesting.
Right. And then you camo again, get into shotgun range, and you are 2 shots on 21s.
Not bad.
I mean, I mean, including cover and stuff, but yeah. So that one. I don't think there's too many more.
Sea Soldiers we covered already.
Turbo Chainsaw Balls Pony Rider asked for the Sombra, but I don't have much information on the Sombra, I'm afraid. He's just expensive.
Fersen and Osnat Vulcan Shotgun. DeFerzen was brought up by Ivory. He says DeFerzen's good and people should look at it. I agree.
Yep, absolutely.
Obviously, his hacking vulnerability is doubled because he's a hacker, so they can just blow his brains out. And finally, the Osnat Vulcan Shotgun, extremely, extremely good. Probably on par with the Datarazis, but much, And Datarazis are the best warband in the game, so to say Osnat is on par with the Datarazis is a big call, but yeah, I think they're really, really good.
Okay. I don't think there was really anything else. We had a couple of other things. Someone suggested the Crusader Brethren, but I'm like, whatever. They're AD trippers. They can.
Good. They're cheap.
Trent said that, and yes, I would say they're pretty good.
Good. Yes,
Ivory's the only AD and.
Ivory's still trying to get us to say Liang Kai, but I think we all know how good Liang Kai is, don't we, Val?
I think we thank you very much, Kevin. We can end the cast here, thanks. And can you make sure you timestamp the moment where Ivory got that fucking rule wrong, so we can fucking come back to it anytime we need?
Sure. I mean, maybe we'll. Oh yeah, trying to get a sound clip of that. Yeah, okay. Anything else from you, gents, before we wrap it up for the night?
No, let's go to bed. It's only been 4 hours.
Yeah. Thanks so much to our Patreons who have stuck around for this considerably.
Hope you all got hobby.
You know what? This is now just a normal cast length for us now.
I think at this point, it's a normal cast.
Anything under 4 hours is normal Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, this is a joke.
Partner's gonna kill me.
What can you
Right.
do? Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, you've been listening to another episode of Loss of Lieutenant. My name is Kevin.
Jacob.
Val.
Good night.
Good night. Hope you enjoyed.